All right, I think we're going here. Just give me 1 second here. All right. So Margaret, we'll just hang out for a minute while people trickle in. How's that sound before we get to into this?
Yeah, that sounds fine. That sounds good to me.
Okay. Okay, awesome. So Margaret, I we'll start with just chit-chatting about what's going on right now. Are you dealing with forest fire smoke in where you are? You're in Ontario, right?
Yeah. I'm in Ontario. I'm an hour and a half east of Toronto, like northeast of Toronto, because you're on the other side of Toronto, right?
Yeah.
Toronto. That's how you
So
know
out towards like yeah,
you're from
Toronto.
you're from the area, as you say Toronto. Um,
Yeah.
the wildfire smoke was a lot worse yesterday than it was today.
Ah,
So
I
today was
see.
okay, but I hear it's supposed to roll back in, so I don't know.
Ah, so you're out towards like Peterborough, or
Yeah.
that's too far? Yeah, yeah. Okay,
No.
cool, cool.
That's like the big town that I live right next to is Peterborough.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, I've been
Oh,
really impressed with the people from Canada I've found in the YouTube searching I've found, and yeah, it's cool to know people that are actually in the province and are relatively close by.
I know
Um,
it's kind of interesting that like this is happening because you showed up in the chat in a UK podcast. And that's how
yeah,
we
yeah.
ended up here. Like, yeah, there's a lot of Ontario creators and stuff, but yeah, that's how we ended up
That's
here.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's true. Well, what happened there was I was reached out to by somebody named Free Nugs. I don't know if you know who that is, but it's
I
one of the
do.
people who's
Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
they mentioned that about the podcast, Maggie's podcast, and I was like, "Whoa, this is crazy! I've never been like invited to go do something." So I had done that interview like the week before. Oh no, I was actually in preparation for that interview. I was listening to it, and
Right.
you were on it, and then I heard that you were from Ontario.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so then I was like, "Oh, I have to know who this is."
Right.
You
Yeah.
can't be that far away, presumably. So that's
Well,
kind of how we
Ontario's a
got
pretty
here.
big province, so you never know. It could be. I mean, I could be a 20 plus hour drive away and
That's true. I think you
but
mentioned in the episode in question though that you were in on like somewhere in around Toronto or something.
southeastern,
So
south central,
yeah,
southeastern Ontario. Yeah, that's a good
yeah,
point. You were paying attention.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was paying attention. I love that show, by the way. How did you like? I mean, we'll get into like introing you, but I want to like wait
Yeah.
for a couple people to come in. But like, how did you get into being a part of the High on Homegrown podcast?
I've been on that show now for probably, I don't even know, like 3 or 4 years, something like that.
Wow.
And I think it started because they interviewed me. They interviewed me a
Right.
long time ago. It was actually almost a completely different panel at that time. And then after a while, after the interview, they asked me if I wanted to come on the show as a panel member. Because I think there was 4 of them at the time. And I think they were in desperate need of a female perspective. So
I think we all are. I think we all are.
so
you're,
it was a bit of a
you're the
sausage
chosen
fest,
one.
maybe. Yeah. Yeah. So I came on board and, things have changed a lot over those years. Like people come and go as far as panel members go, just because the original show started during the pandemic. I wasn't on it during
Hmm.
the pandemic, but obviously life was different in 2020, 2021 than
Yeah.
a few years later. So, people have come and gone, but it's been really interesting and kind of cool the people that I've met through that show.
Yeah, it seems
Yeah.
like it's attracted, like kind of covers a lot of bases too. Like they do the news, it seems like, or like that's something that you're part of, but his
Yeah.
interviews are like wide ranging and seem to cover everything.
Yeah.
So we'll go into the like talking about yourself a little bit more. So okay, so you obviously are part of that, but like where did this all begin for you? So you obviously your podcast Bite Me is about
Yeah.
edibles and making
Yeah.
edibles at home. Like maybe you could tell us a little bit about like how you got into the cannabis world. Was this something that you just stumbled into, or have you been working away at it slowly?
I mean, the Bite Me the Show about edibles has been around for like 6 years. So it's actually 7 now that I think about it. I started in 2019 and I don't think I ever really intended to be like doing any of this, to be completely honest. Does anybody think they're going to start something when they start something? Like, I don't know. So I wasn't really in the industry before that in any way, shape, or form. It was the podcast that kind of launched a lot of this other stuff. Like after the podcast, I worked in a dispensary for a couple of years. And then I got my Ganjier certificate, and then I got my cannabis educator thing. And then I started high and homegrown. Like all these things happened because I started exploring cannabis through the lens of edibles, because that's my preferred way to consume. And yeah, so it's opened up a ton of doors. And when I started, I thought, oh, this is fun. And now I try and take it more seriously. I've been working on it a lot more in the last couple of years, because there's like I have a website as well, and a private community and that kind of thing. And yeah, that's kind of
That's
been
cool.
the journey. Yeah. Yeah.
That's really awesome. And
Yeah.
did you like I'd never, honestly, forgive me for my ignorance, but I had never heard of the Ganjier like
No,
designation.
I'm
And I
just
know
joking.
I'm
I'm totally joking. I'm
I
totally
know
joking.
less than
No.
I know less about the industry than I maybe think I do
Right.
at times, because I was like, what is that? But maybe you could tell us a little bit about that, because it seems like it's like like a certification for, like, I guess, like being able to, well, I'll let you explain what it is.
Yeah, it's like it's like a sommelier
Right.
designation, if you will. So most people are familiar with like a wine sommelier, or you have, I think it's called cicerones, like beer cicerones. You have cheesemongers, like all these people that are able to ascertain quality of a specific product. And they're trying to bring a certain level of professionalism to the cannabis industry by being able to assess quality flower. So it's really all about that. And they do have designations. I think there is a Canadian version of the sommelier program, but the Ganjier one really attracted me at the time, because the people who were teaching the courses and the coursework and the people that you got to meet in the training were like industry legends. And
Mm.
that was really cool too. Yeah. So that's kind of
And
why
what,
I went that direction.
that's cool. That's really interesting. As far as like what you do actually when you're studying, I guess, I mean, you're
Yeah.
obviously studying, but are you like literally just taking rips of different kinds of weed and like talking about it, obviously, or is there like more to, like, before you even crack open the bag, that you're talking about it in a
Yeah, there's
classroom
more
or
to
something?
it, because you're like assessing like the flavor, the appearance, the aroma, and the effects. And so there's
Right.
all these different criteria that you look at for all those different categories. And effects are kind of, that's when you actually get to consume the product. But obviously, it's the most subjective of all of them, I would say, because how,
Right.
something affects you is going to be different than how it might affect me. But they're trying to
Right. Right.
standardize that process the same way that somebody tasting a wine would do, because there are California based certifications. So they're also talking a lot about things like terroir in California and sun grown
Mm-hmm.
cannabis and like all these things. And I really think they're trying to push the industry forward to make it more professional in a way, instead of it just being associated with like, you know, the stoner, the stoner
Right.
stereotype kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think they're accomplishing that. Now, there's not a lot of Ganjiers in Canada. There's a few of us, but most of them are probably in the States, but they do come from all over the world, because I have met Ganjiers that, um, yeah, went to California to do their training and were from all kinds of places. So it is kind of cool that way too. It's a worldwide thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Um, as far as the terroir thing, because I've actually thought about that a lot, is that a real thing in ganja that I'm curious about? Because I've kind of like thought that that probably wouldn't be a thing in marijuana as much because of the way it grows. But what are your opinions on that?
I think it's definitely a thing. I mean, it's probably going to matter more in outdoor grown cannabis than indoor, because in indoor, obviously, you're controlling a lot more. You're controlling all the variables.
Right.
But in California, of course, they have a great climate for growing outdoor, and a lot of people do. And so they're trying to sort of bring that concept of terroir to cannabis, because the cultivar that you're growing on the hill, on the mountain in California, you could take that same one and grow it in your backyard or my backyard, and obviously have a different expression of that particular cultivar.
That makes sense, but I'm like wondering, like, specifically what it, like, so in wine, the terroir is like the minerals that are present. Is that correct? Or is it like it's also to do with like how long the crop has been in place? So there's like a whole bunch of, I suppose, I don't know, bacterial type reactions. Like, is that what we're talking about when we're talking about terroir? Is the exact
Yeah.
same
And
connection, or is it a different part of the terroir?
I think it is
Whatever
definitely
that
the
means.
soil. Yeah. the random air quotes. I think it is definitely uh, like the soil for
Yeah,
sure, and what makes the soil unique, which is why, a champagne is technically grown in one region in France. And so if you want to put champagne on your bottle, it has to be grown in that region. And those grapes grow really well there. And it's largely in part because of the soil, the climate, the type of temperatures they get, all that kind of thing. So they're trying to bring that same thing to the cannabis space as well, because you might have, the terroir in California is pretty unique and it's going to be different than the terroir in Ontario versus the terroir that you're going to find in Peru or wherever else people are growing weed.
yeah.
And yeah, I think it's like, it'll probably take some time for people to really be talking about cannabis in terms of terroir. People are still very familiar with cannabis as far
It's
as like, indica and sativa and those two,
well, it
that
just doesn't sound
dichotomy. But
as yeah. It doesn't have like the name recognition of like
yeah,
dank nugs. You can't just be like, well, get
yeah,
my terroir,
yeah,
get
yeah,
my terroir dialed in. But
yeah.
I do think it's interesting now that it's like legal that we're able to like look at this stuff. Because I remember I started growing. I don't know how long you've been involved in growing and stuff, but it's like 2014, and like nobody was talking about terroir. We were just talking about like not getting arrested and stuff. But now that
Well,
it's
yeah,
legal,
yeah.
you can
That
actually like
changes the
have
game.
these. It does, and it's like people who are probably more, connoisseurs, as you say, or like,
Yeah.
yeah, they're like
Yeah, I
more
think
inclined to get
connoisseur is
into
a
this
good
stuff.
word for that because, yeah, I
Yeah,
don't honestly think a whole lot about terroir here because I wouldn't say that we have an ideal growing climate. Like it's
no,
good, but it's not California. It's not the West Coast. It starts to
no,
get fucking cold
I
at a
know.
certain time of the year. And
Yeah,
yeah, like it's just not ideal. But you can still grow some pretty amazing weed here. So you got to
yeah.
work with the terroir that you've got, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely. Everybody's going
Yeah.
to work with the terroir they got. There's not much you can do about it.
No, no.
So getting into like how do you got into the edible scene? So like you obviously cared about cannabis prior to doing that podcast, I assume. So were you growing prior to starting that and you already had a pretty good knowledge, or was it like new to cannabis, like in the sense of like, a topic that you were deep diving into, or were you already pretty familiar with like the grow?
I mean, I've been like consuming cannabis off and on most of my life since I was, like a lot of people since I was a teenager or whatever. I was growing at the time. I had a partner at the time that was like he had always dreamed of growing weed. So we
Yeah.
did, and it was quite illegal, so it didn't get talked about a lot.
Yeah.
We had a pretty interesting setup, but I found that like I hadn't been smoking a lot of weed at that time, and when I did, because we were obviously growing it, it made me like kind of paranoid. I'm like
Mm,
really sensitive to inhaled THC,
mm,
and I think I thought that was kind of a bummer. I don't know. I feel like it's just changed over the years because I started out
mm.
smoking a lot of hash. I grew up in a time when like hash was easy to get, easy to procure. And that's where I started out. But so, I mean, obviously, when you're growing, you have a ton of like shake. That's what I started using. And I
Yeah.
made my first batch of butter. And then by some miracle, I didn't overdose myself when I made the cookies from said batch of butter, which was like the slowest, most painful way ever to make butter on a stove that I could possibly have done. I don't remember even where I got the information from, but I didn't overdose myself and I really enjoyed the edibles high, like a lot.
Mm.
And
How was that first batch though? Like the actual butter, was it trash or was it pretty good?
I mean, it got me high.
That's all that matters, really.
Yeah, that's all that matters. It was probably like green as shit or whatever, but
When I was in
yeah.
university, this is in 2000s, like early 2000s. It was still illegal, so we were all trying to get rid of some here and there. And our second year, we were in a university, like a house outside of school, and we had a couple dogs living with us, and so we were selling pot cookies to kids in the university, in the residence. So we'd show up on a Friday with like huge box of cookies. We try to sell them, and it was just fun. Like I don't think we did anything. We didn't make any particular big business moves or anything. But
No.
one night we went out and we came back, and the dogs had gotten into the box of cookies. We were
Oh
like,
no.
but then they proceeded to get the most like baked I've ever seen. They were okay. Like I was very worried about their health and everything, but then we came into the room and found them with just like crumbles everywhere, and they had the guiltiest look on their eyes.
Oh, the poor
And
thing.
yeah, it was so funny. And they just were so high the rest of the night. We were giving them milk bones, but they couldn't chew them. So they're just getting like soggy in their mouths and they're baked and just passed out.
Did they have cotton mouth, do you think? Is that
Oh,
why?
definitely. Like the one dog is like a little Maltese, and he had the reddest eyes, and he was
Oh
lying on his back
no.
on the couch with his legs up, and like I was like usually say, "Let's go for a walk, George," and he'd jump up and run out. He just like would sit there. He just sat there and wagged his tail, like.
Right. Yeah.
Anyways, it just I was like, well, all I remember about making cookies was like reeking my house up, and whatever you got, you got. Now I feel like you've probably refined it down to a better craft than that at this point.
Oh yeah, like when I first started too, I had no idea about dosing or anything like that. It
Yeah,
was kind of like a hope and a prayer usually, because
yeah.
it's like your box of cookies. You just take them and you're like, well, hope you don't get too high, enjoy or whatever.
Mhm.
But now there's like a lot of like the math is out there. There's no reason why you should be like dosing blind anymore, unless that's your
Right.
thing. But I'm too old for that stuff now, honestly. Like I've overdosed enough times on my own to not
Yeah.
want to do that again. So if somebody hands me an edible and they're like, I have no idea how strong it is,
Well,
I probably won't eat it.
that's the interesting thing for me is like when it became legal here, it was I saw a very common response from people who previously had, done any cannabis, that
Yeah.
like the older folks especially would be more inclined to have an edible, which I always thought was interesting because like when I do edibles, I'm like, I'm experienced enough to know like what an appropriate amount to do is and know to like pace yourself and whatnot. But like it doesn't even I think they imagine it being a better intro to it, which it is in some respect, but you're more
Right.
likely to like overdose and then maybe not want to do it again. So I always thought that was a weird reaction, that's like the intro that a lot of people are feeling like into cannabis is the easiest way is through an edible.
I think that's because they're familiar with it though. Like
Yeah.
in the sense that like because I saw that a lot when I worked at the dispensary too, because I worked at a dispensary from 2020 to 2022 and a lot of people came in and they were like I want to try weed, but they were kind of like not interested in smoking. And most people are familiar with food. Like they're comfortable with that format. So that's
Right.
why they would start that way. But you're right. Like if you're not careful, because I also heard a lot of those stories too. Like, oh, back in my day, ate something. I ate the leg off a gummy bear and I was done for 3 days. Like I heard a lot of those types of stories. And then they wouldn't come back to it for like 20 years. And
Did
that
For
happens.
sure.
Yeah.
Did you see this story? I know we're gonna get back to your part of the interview,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
did you see a story about the dog that ate some edibles and he ended up on the tallest mountain in the UK?
No,
Last
recently?
yeah, yeah. So this
No.
dog, I was looking it up really. Let's see if I can find it here. But basically, this dog, it was like a lab, and he got into some cannabis, and he ended up on the tallest mountain. I think it's called like Big Ben or Uncle Ben, or I don't know what it's called, but it's some mountain. I don't have the article here with me, but he just got so baked, and he ran up the mountain, and then he just like passed out, like he couldn't walk, and they had to send a rescue
Oh
crew
no.
to get him. They put him out on a stretcher and took him down.
I'm surprised he managed to get up the mountain because I've
I know.
interviewed a vet on my show before, and
Mm,
she said that a lot like animals, well, dogs in particular, are pretty sensitive to THC. And one
mm,
of the things that will affect is their balance. So when you
mm.
see a dog in particular that has ingested some, a weed cookie or something infused, that's why they sometimes seem wobbly because it affects their balance. But somehow that must have not kicked in for that dog until he summited, which is pretty cool.
I
He's like, I
know.
made
You,
it.
you know that the first part of his trip was like the best day of his life. He's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna climb that mountain.
And
I've
then he
wanted
gets
to do
wrecked.
this my whole life. Yeah.
Yeah, and he gets rescued and he gets to take a stretcher all the way down. Like that's
Yeah.
the
The
way to
good
do
news
it.
is the good news is he was put on IV and the next day he's totally fine. So we're okay
Right.
there. But
Yeah.
okay, so you've obviously gotten to a more like expert level of making edibles, I presume. So maybe you tell us about like the journey from that first experience into where you're at now.
Well, I mean, I guess I made that first batch and I ate it and I'm like, this is pretty great. So I just kept doing it. And then somewhere along the line, like maybe a few years later, I started a podcast. Why I started a podcast versus like something video based for edibles, don't ask me. Actually, I love podcasts, so maybe that was a natural fit for me. But
Hmm.
since then, I've just because I do a lot of recipes on the show, I make what I talk about. So I've put cannabis into like everything at this point, just
Mm,
about.
that's
But
awesome.
really, I mean, once you kind of refine the basic technique, it's just a matter of experimentation. And you really can put weed into food
Yeah, yeah,
like really
100%.
easily. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like what's your main method is just like using oil to make like to decarboxylate and then you just go from there, or do you have other means of like getting the activating the THC or
Yeah.
whatever?
Yeah, decarbing. I mean, I usually do decarb, even though I just had somebody on my show recently and she was just like really big on how you shouldn't decarb. And I'm like, I've interviewed a lot of people on my show by now, and you're the first person to say this. So that was controversial, but typically I would decarb because that's sort of what activates the THC, if you will. Like if you're
Yeah.
smoking a joint, you're decarbing by lighting it up with your lighter. It's the same
Mm,
kind of thing, except when you're using it in an infusion, it's just a little lower and slower as far as time and temp. But yeah, and then you just infuse it into your butter, oil, alcohol, any fat you can imagine, because THC, the cannabinoids bind to fat, so they are fat-loving molecules.
mm.
So, you can infuse almost any fat, really. Like
Okay.
I've done duck fat. You could do like
Ooh.
probably I haven't done beef tallow, but I don't see why you couldn't. Like
Mm.
avocado oil, coconut oil, olive oil, all the oils.
And so
Ghee,
with alcohol, it's the same thing. Are you basically just putting it in the alcohol, like,
yeah,
and
alcohol's yeah,
yeah, okay. And you filter it out afterwards, or do you put it in
yeah.
whole as buds, or do you put it in as shredded?
I mean, some people say I usually don't grind anything up too fine,
Hmm, hmm.
personally. Yeah, but yeah, you just put it in it and it extracts it. You don't really have to do a whole lot for alcohol. It's kind of nice, but as a straight up infusion, it's harsh.
Yeah, yeah.
If you've ever taken an alcohol tincture under the tongue, you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like, what are your favorite recipes? Like, obviously, you got some cookies there in the background. Is that your favorite
Oh
right
yeah.
there, cookies, or do you have like
Uh,
some like hits?
Honestly, it changes like anything. When anybody, I don't know about you, but when somebody asks me like, what's your favorite XYZ, I'm always just like, well, depends on the day. But lately it's been chocolate and gummies because
Mm,
I've just been making a lot of those. I do have a sweet tooth, admittedly. So that's kind of like what I like, I
mm,
guess, is I lean toward more sweet things. But
okay.
yeah, I do love having an infused olive oil on hand though, so that I can add it
Mm,
to whatever I want. And honestly, one of my other favorite things to make are like topicals of any
mm,
kind. And maybe that's because for people who don't consume cannabis, they always appreciate a topical, even if it's not right away, because I've gifted, salves and oils and things like that for people to use on their aches and pains. And sometimes like a time will go by and then they'll be like, yeah, I finally used this thing you gave me. And they're like, holy shit. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like,
So
I know it works.
how do you make that? I've never actually dabbled into making those before. So like, what is the process for that? Is it the same thing? You're just getting the oil? No, you're not. Probably not. You're doing a different thing.
Not really. I mean, you
Mm,
just need like some of the things that I've made are like body or massage oils. You're just taking
mm.
an infused olive oil, maybe mixing a couple other things with it, add some essential oils for a nice scent, and there you go.
That's
Like
pretty
it can
nice.
be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be super complicated. And you from there you can even get into the realm of like intimacy oils and that lubes and that kind of thing. But then you can get
Gotcha.
into salves where you're like infusing maybe an olive oil or coconut oil and then, mixing it with like a beeswax or whatever. So it's a little more solid than obviously an oil would be. But
Mm,
yeah, I mean, they're not that tricky to make
I
and
see.
they work great. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question for you. So I have just gotten a beehive. I don't know if you've been following along with my stuff.
I think I
Yeah.
did see something about that. And I think that is really cool because obviously bees are life.
You can't go wrong with bees. They're
Yeah.
so cool. Honestly,
Yeah.
they're actually way cooler than I thought they were going to be, and I actually was very excited before I got
So
them.
what made you decide to get a hive? Like you have a hive then?
Yeah, I have a
The-
hive. Basically, I had worms, right? I have
right.
worms. I
Yeah.
got worms. I got worms
Yeah.
real bad. So that's like it's a big part, and I've given many people worms as well.
Right. Oh, that's amazing.
But I've kind of like done that a lot, and I was just like, I think it's a fun part of doing gardening is that there's a whole other like, there's this connection with nature, obviously, that we all
Yeah.
have. And
Yeah.
when you do, especially when you're going cannabis, it's like it's pretty fun, but it does have a bit of a two-dimensional element to it. You're not seeing things moving or anything. Like you're seeing things growing, but it's not like
Right.
an animal where they're like a part of it all, right? So I got some fruit trees this last year too. I got some combination fruit trees, and that was kind of what got me thinking because they were like, you want pollinators and stuff. And I was like, oh, maybe I should get bees. So yeah, the worms were like a gateway animal to the bees.
Okay. The gateway to the other things. So what's coming after the bees then? I
Oh
guess that's the
hell,
real question.
it's good that you asked. I'm actually going
Okay.
to be. This was going to be something I was going to get into later, and not this week, but I'm planning on
Yeah.
doing this. I'm going to be making some bat houses because
Oh, cool.
I also discovered that I was looking it up, like, oh, if I make a bat house, will they show up? And apparently in Ontario, there's like a bunch of several rare bat species that
Yeah.
are like in desperate need of homes, like
And they're
yeah,
endangered, some of them.
right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I want to get the bat caves going on. So I saw some cool designs for these like kind of like flat. They're probably like 2 by 1, or maybe they're more than that. Maybe it's like 2 feet by 1 foot. So and they're just like thin, and they go up on like a brick wall.
Right.
So I'm gonna try to put those up.
Yeah.
So I got
I
some
mean, that's pretty
bats.
cool because like the bats are like a lot of them are endangered. The numbers have gone down a lot, and they're responsible for keeping bug populations in control. And they also help like, I don't know, spread seeds and stuff because
Absolutely.
I think that's what I've heard. They
They
poop
eat
out stuff. Yeah.
each one can eat up to 100 mosquitoes a night.
Just 100? Come on, they need to earn their keep if you're going to house them.
I know, just 100 each. That's it.
That doesn't seem like very many. 100?
No,
100 mosquitoes?
well, like
No.
each bat, not the whole
Right.
bat. That's a
Yeah.
lot. I mean, there's
I
probably
guess
like
so. I
I'm
guess I'm
imagining
like
like 20 to 50 bats up in
I was
this
just
thing.
hoping that they'd
So,
be like hoovering them, so it'd be like 1,000 or
well,
something.
like currently there's no bats, so there's no.
Right. Do you see bats around
Actually, no, I do see
outside?
bats. I do see bats. So there are bats, but they're
Yeah.
not. They're not in their new dope zone that I'm going to make for them.
Right. Yeah, and I know
So I
you
got
want the
that.
bats because when we first started this conversation, you were sitting outside, and I
Yeah.
thought, "Oh, that looks so nice." But if I sit outside, I'll get eaten alive.
Oh, well,
So,
I also am somewhat immune to mosquito bites, which is really nice because I grew up kind of in the woods a bit, and they don't seem to bother me that much because my
oh,
partner is really like reactive to it.
right.
So we can't really sit out together, unfortunately. But I'm usually pretty good. But
Yeah.
my reception wasn't going so good out there. I also want to get a good bird setup, so I'm going to try to get the
Okay.
birds and the bats and the bees and the worms all within about 10 feet of each other.
Okay. Okay.
To see
What
what
kind
we
of
can do.
birds?
Well,
What
I'm
kind
just
of
gonna put up a bird feeder and see what
Okay.
shows up. Because I actually, well, what's interesting is because I have in my pot plants, I have a bunch of things I call wormholes. This is a game, but
Yeah.
basically they're just like little plastic containers that are buried in the ground that are perforated on all sides. So I have like worm farms like right in the cannabis
Oh,
plants,
interesting. Okay.
and on a couple of them I have them open to the rest of the garden. Like they're the ones that are in the pot plants are in fabric pots, so presumably the worms can't really escape.
Right.
But the rest of the yard, I have several of them out throughout, like my potato patch and things, and they've now started just ending up in the yard, and I'm watching like robins just picking them up out of the grass, like, and I can tell they're my worms because they're like really particular size. So
Yeah.
the robins know what's up. They're like
Oh,
they're
they're
wise
everywhere.
to they're wise
Yeah.
to the wormhole.
Right. Yeah,
Shenanigans.
they know the food source. I mean, that should be interesting because having the feeder there is always kind of fun. It's always fun to see what
Yeah.
birds are like hanging out in your neighborhood or whatever. But I've really gotten into birds this year, so
Oh, nice,
you're
nice.
speaking my language.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my sister's actually. We just mentioned a vet earlier. I was wondering if it was my sister because she's a veterinarian that does some stuff on social media. But we
Oh,
won't mention her
really?
name. Yeah,
Okay.
it could have been her because I remember her telling me she did some podcasts. But anyway, she was an ornithologist, so she's taught me a little bit about birds.
Oh, very cool. Yeah.
But
So
they're
she
really
knows her
fascinating.
stuff.
I'm really into the idea of like those bird feeders with the cameras on them. Those are so
Yes.
cool. I want to
Yes,
get
they
one of
are
those
really
so bad.
cool. Yeah. The only thing is
Easy.
you have to keep the squirrels away.
I know.
That will become your new challenge after that.
Yeah, so I got all that. I have the squirrels. I also have raccoons. I'm sure you got that. I actually was cornered last night in my backyard by two raccoons that I have tenants upstairs and they've been
Yeah.
feeding the raccoons, and
Oh,
these two
no.
raccoons like literally cornered me by my pot plants, and I had to like
They're like, "Give me
fight.
the food."
I had to fight my way out of raccoon brawlers
Oh
pretty well.
no. Did you, I hope you
Um,
told your tenants not to be feeding the,
I did. I did. I
okay,
was telling
because
my partner last night. She was like, "I'm basically gonna go feed." It was a family of baby raccoons and the mom, and I was like, "She's like, I'm gonna go feed them. Like if they're feeding them." I was like, "No, you really can't," because like obviously vet stuff in my family, we're all like paranoid about this stuff.
well,
And
yeah.
then I knew I don't. I've actually been in situations where they get a little too close, and I was like, "Well, that's how they get put down. Like you don't want to do
Yeah.
that." And
Yeah,
then
they're a
literally
wild
that night,
animal
I got
and they can
cornered.
do some damage. They've got those little hands of theirs.
Oh man, they were
Yeah.
coming at me. They were like
Yeah.
coming in both directions, and I had to get the shovel in. Like he wasn't stopping. I had to pick him up with the shovel and like kind of like launch him. I was like,
Yeah. That would be
"Ah."
scary.
I
Yeah.
didn't want to hurt him, but it was getting a little bit much. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit more about your podcast. So, what are some of like the most interesting people you've interviewed? Because you have like 350 episodes or something.
Yeah, I do. I do.
That's insane. First of all, that you even got to that point. I can't imagine having that many episodes. But like maybe some hits. Like who are some of the big people you've got to talk to? Or
Oh boy. There's been so many, and this is when I usually draw a blank. But I've talked to like a lot of really great edibles makers because obviously that's like the focus of my show. But I've had Jamie Evans on. She's like a wine sommelier that kind of transitioned to the cannabis space a few years ago, and she's written some books. I had Derek Gilman on. He's like the executive director of the Ganjier program, so that was
Hmm.
really fun to sort of like do the program and then be able to interview him afterwards. I've had several people that I met through the program on the show. Like there's a chef that is amazing who obviously works with cannabis as well, and he's based out of Germany, so that was kind of cool. So I had all the high and homegrown guys on
Oh,
several years
nice.
ago. This is, I think, when the first, panel group is on. Um, but all kinds of people. The vet, I don't know if it was your sister because she was US based, if I
Oh no, then it
recall.
wasn't her.
Yeah.
It wasn't her. No,
Yeah. And
no.
she specialized in like veterinarian work for cannabis and was training other
Wow.
vets in that space because it's
Whoa.
obviously a lot of people are really interested in using cannabis for their pets, but there's still not a lot of information out there as far as the professional side of things go.
Yeah.
So she was really cool. Like just had the opportunity to interview a lot of authors and other podcast hosts, and
Yeah.
interviewing people is one of my favorite things to do, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's well, it's really fun just to get to know people too in the community. I mean, I've like
Yeah.
I haven't even like I told you earlier, I haven't been at this that long, but the amount of people that have reached out to just be like connect from Australia. I have a couple people there. I met a bunch of people across Canada. It's such an easy way to connect with people, and like it's obviously, if you lived in a town, the chances you're going to find a huge group of people who are obsessed with the same topic as you is like kind of hard to imagine. And as you
Yeah.
do, I love rambling about this stuff. So I'm typically just rambling to myself or to people who don't even want to hear about it. So it's like
Right. Yeah, I
very
know,
nice
right? They're
to,
like, "Are we talking about this again?" And you're like,
yeah,
"Well, yeah, of course."
yeah,
But
exactly. So
yeah.
thanks to the people that have come in so far. Edwards, he was here last week, so nice buddy. And Blunt First Burner. Have you checked out Blunt First Burner's page, Margaret?
No, I haven't.
Check it out. He's got a
Okay.
really sweet backyard setup. He's pretty
Ooh,
new to the YouTube, I think, but he's been ripping up the subs recently, and he's got a really pro grow, all organic, I think.
nice.
Um,
I love
and we
it,
got
the outdoor grow too. I've really come to love an outdoor grow. Are you growing outside right this
yeah,
year?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't think anything else really compares, honestly. It's just like, I don't know, maybe the way it's meant to be done in a sense.
yeah.
Like I have a tent and I have a light, but I still prefer the outdoor grow personally.
It's the way it's meant to be done. Here, I'll show you my
Yeah.
plants while well, it's still light out, so I'll give you the whole tour of the garden. Why not, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're buddies now, so we got to know each other's space.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll show you my backyard here. So if my connection gets totally whack, Margaret, let me know and
Yeah.
you'll
Okay.
I'll move back. But yeah, so I got two plants.
Oh, your connection got a little whack.
So
You
oh
might have to
no,
step back. You just
it's not
have to
gonna work.
step away from the plant like a few feet.
Okay, it's not gonna work.
I can see
Darn,
them
that's too bad.
though. I can see them.
Here, we'll go from here. Yeah, we'll go from here. I think it's gonna work from here.
Okay.
I think the smoke is honestly messing with things these days around here, but that doesn't really make
It
sense.
could
But
be.
anyways, yeah, I got
Yeah.
those 2 plants there that are like we got a thin mint in the front ground there with a trellis on
Hmm.
the top, and then we got bubble back there on the like right behind it. So there's like in line there. So they're doing pretty good. And then those are the ones I got the wormholes in. So those ones both have individual worm farms in them.
Right.
Yeah, so
So do you
that's
have to
cool. And
do anything with those? Like for that wormhole, do you have to like, does it just do its own thing? Or do you have to feed it? Do you have to still feed the
yeah, I
worms?
feed it. Yeah. You feed them, and basically, because the thing is, a lot of people they would do this by just putting the worms in their pots and not feeding them. But the thing is, like worms basically need to eat every single week,
Right.
and if you don't feed them, they just won't continue to move very. They won't do stuff very quickly. So you have
Right.
to literally feed them once a week. And so I typically just I use my worm castings in my garden, and they're just filled with baby worms. So they end up being in there unintentionally. This is like the first time I'm like intentionally really jacking the pots up with them. Um, but the plants are loving it. I have not given those plants a single drop of fertilizer since the beginning of the season, and they're like
They look
5 feet.
great.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
doing great. There's not a single sign of nutrient deficiency top to bottom, and it's
Right.
because it's like continually producing the castings. And if you ever have had worms or see the worms, they drag the castings everywhere within the bin, so you don't even have to like take the stuff out of the worm farm. They're moving it for me. So,
Right. Yeah.
and then the microbes and everything as well. I mean, part of the reason that those microbes do so well and why they like base living soil off worm castings is because the worms create the environment. But like as soon as you finish making the castings, those microbes and nematodes, they're all like dying like slowly. You have to keep them wet. But like
Hmm.
if you look at a sample of castings a year after you produced it, it's like not nearly as flush with like the things that are in living soil. So if you have the worms right in there, they're like basically continually making it. And yeah, I honestly find that it's such a good thing for veg, because in veg you really just need nitrogen,
Yeah.
and they're great for nitrogen. They don't really come in strong with the phosphorus and potassium, but that's like such a smaller time frame if you're growing. Like if you start indoors to go outdoors in spring, you have a long period in the
Yeah.
veg cycle where you're paying this money, and it's annoying to be constantly feeding them like liquid nutrients, or
Right.
whatever you might be doing. This is just like I literally don't do anything. I just go.
Yeah. I
Only thing
mean,
I do is
that's the best way to do it, in
yeah,
my opinion, when you can be a
and
little more hands off. Yeah.
I'm getting a little crazy about it. So I've been specifically feeding the worms only pot leaves, like cannabis leaves from the plant,
Oh,
and then
really?
I get beer grains from a local brewery,
Yeah.
Fairweather Brewing. I don't know if you ever had it, but they give me their beer grains, and so my worms only have pot and beer. So they're totally fucked. And then I
Right.
give them like some food scraps, but a lot of it is basically
Right.
just that.
I love that. Yeah.
um, so
It's full
yes,
circle at that point.
exactly. It comes full
Yeah.
circle. Exactly. So, yeah, I got a couple other little projects going around, but yeah, the worms are a big focus for me. So,
Did the
uh,
worms come first or did the growing the weed come first?
the growing the
Like,
weed came first because I got to
okay.
a point with growing weed, especially outdoors. I was basically doing guerrilla style growing when I was growing on this property I had in the country, and because I wasn't going very often and there was no source of water, so I was always looking at like long term slow release fertilizers, and
Right.
I was already trying to get organic and all this stuff, and I just came upon worm castings, and I was like, oh well, like you could buy this, but then worm castings are really expensive. Like, I mean, for what it is, it's not really expensive. Like, it's cheap-ish, but like considering it's free to make, it's like
Yeah.
you with
Yeah.
edibles. It's like, why buy
Right.
a bag for $20 when
Yeah.
you can,
Make a whole
do this?
batch for $20.
Exactly. Oh no, my network is very unstable. I don't know what's going on with my network today, but apologies for that.
Oh, that's okay.
Um, so yeah, I got into growing, and then I just got more and more into the slow release, and then I was like, okay, castings, and then I got a half pound of worms, and I was really just doing it for the castings at that point. But in the pandemic, similar to you, opportunity knocked, and the prices of worms skyrocketed. It went from like $30 a pound, which is about the size of a yogurt container,
Okay.
to $200.
Oh, wow. Okay. Is that because everybody started like
Yeah,
worm
yeah.
farming a lot? Like it
Every
was either worm
every
farming or
yeah,
sourdough. Those are your
exactly.
options.
everybody was home, like just
Yeah.
chilling and making
Yeah.
sourdough and raising worms.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was great. I had such a fun time because we weren't really interacting with people through that time, but I was having these like really crazy interactions with people who were all starting worm farms. So you could imagine like the type of people that it is, right? It's like all the people like you or me, you know, like
Yeah.
school, like
Yeah.
fucking people. And so it was like every day somebody's coming over and I was getting them started and I was like, this is really cool. So that's where it started. And I started a business around the worming. And I had a shop basically in the Junction down in the basement of an art store there, which is
Okay.
where the name the Junction came from. So I had the
Okay.
wormhole and then the Junction came together.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I was just doing that, and then I posted 3 videos a few years ago, and I forgot about them completely. And then I came back in March this year, and I had like 25 subscribers, and I was like, oh shit. I guess I should like. I guess I should
Maybe I should
post
do something
something.
with this.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
things just led to another. So that's kind of how I got the worms came after the cannabis. I was already growing for
Right.
years, but now they've kind of found the junction. The junction is the place between where it's like growing and worms. It's like it's
Yeah.
cannabis and worms. So,
I like
and
that.
now I got to get the bees in there somehow, which that's actually what I want to ask you about. So I got all
Okay.
this honey.
Yeah.
How are we gonna make edibles with honey, Margaret? I'd like to get like a soft, chewy thing and maybe some hard ones, but I don't know. You're the expert. You
The
let me know
soft,
what I should do.
chewy thing, or maybe some hard ones. What do you mean?
Like,
By
I mean,
that?
there's like I looked it up briefly, but there's like you could make taffy with it, or you could make like kind of like more like gummy style things, maybe,
Yeah.
or we could
Yeah.
do like hard candies. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. Honey's a tricky one, I will say, only because you can't really infuse it the traditional way because it's like all sugar, pretty much. And it doesn't like the THC doesn't really bind to the sugar the same way.
Mm,
So I mean, maybe it can work to a degree where it's like suspended in it. But what a lot of people do is they'll take a fat and then they mix it in with the honey, like an
okay.
infused fat. Just you need that little bit of fat. Otherwise, it's not
Okay.
really going to work. And I find that honey works really well in like sauces. It works really well in, I mean, you can use it if you want to sweeten some tea. It's really great in a lot of drinks as
Mm,
well.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
so in those types of applications, I don't find I use it. I don't think for a lot of like candy and stuff like that,
Mm,
to
hmm.
be completely honest. But there's
Okay.
still a lot of things you can do with it. You just have to make sure you introduce some of that fat because otherwise it's
Does
not
it
going to be
make the
very
candy
potent.
like greasy at all when you add the fat in, or does it?
Not really. Like you do have to sort of give it a good stir before you use it again, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. So
Yeah.
kind of
Sorry to
depressing.
dash your hopes, but
You dashed my
honey
hopes so hard.
honey and like syrups and stuff are a little bit different just
Oh.
because
Well,
THC likes that fat. It just
I know, I
does.
hear you.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about alcoholic drinks. Have you done any kind of specialty? Because I know you did a cookbook, correct, on like making brown like cooked or baked things. But have you
Yeah.
dabbled into the alcohol, sort of like making specific mixed drinks and things of that nature?
Yeah, a little bit. I wouldn't say that's my area of specialty, but I do have recipes on my website because that Jamie Evans that I interviewed in particular, she shared some recipes with me that I've made on the show or tried out, and some of them were like, I think one was a spicy pineapple margarita, which was really good.
Mm,
And I'm trying to think now. It probably used an infused alcohol for that one because
mm.
that one was alcoholic. Because I'm sure you've probably heard before too that you do have to be careful with combining alcohol and cannabis together.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Probably not.
crossfade is not a beginner move. It can be fun,
Yeah.
but you just have to be mindful a little bit because they amplify each other.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
find, yeah,
That's
yeah.
interesting. Well, yeah, because my partner is a bartender, or at least
Oh,
she's has a
cool.
history. So she's really the one spearheading the bees.
Right.
So we want to like potentially bring the cannabis in somehow. So I will consult you later about that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super interesting because if she's a bartender, she makes all kinds of cool drinks then.
She already does. That's the thing. So I don't
Yeah.
even think it's going to be a stretch, but we got to figure out how to infuse it. So,
Yeah.
um, okay. And so what? So you had a few cool interviews. What's in store for you in the future here? Do you have any kind of aspirations, or are you just sort of taking it as it comes, or do you have any kind of plans for channel or your podcast?
Yeah, I guess there's always plans. Like I have all my episodes pretty much planned at the end of the year. So I've never been more organized, which is
Wow.
kind of nice. Now, as far as like getting them actually recorded, sometimes sometimes I'm really good with like, batch recording and being ahead of schedule. And other times I'm like, editing on a Wednesday night because they go out Thursday mornings early.
Oh,
So
you stick to a schedule every Thursday morning?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I release an episode every Thursday. It goes out at 7 a.m. with my host, but I don't know how quickly it gets, to the actual podcast player. But yeah, that's
Right.
kind of like my own self-imposed deadline, because then if I didn't have that, I would probably it would all go to shit really
Yeah,
fast.
yeah.
So
Well, I feel this intense pressure to do things all the time because I don't know if you ever felt this way, but I've come into this space kind of as a foreign person to everybody. And then you have this feeling of like, I got to do something so people know that I'm like for real here.
right.
Like, and so
Yeah,
you got
yeah.
to put these deadlines in. It's like, nobody cares about your deadlines, but they're good for you.
No, nobody cares, but it's good for you for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I've also been like, I have a website that I've had almost since the beginning. And, several years in now, I'm kind of like, ooh, I probably should have done some things a lot differently. So I've been working on that a lot, which is ridiculously time consuming sometimes. But um, that's something else I'm working on. There's lots of recipes on there and stuff as well, and a dosage calculator that anybody can use if you have,
So how
something.
does this dosage calculator work? So it's just like how much you would use for a recipe, or maybe explain that.
Yeah, basically you can
Give me
go
one
in
second. I'm
and
listening to you. I'm just going to grab something
yeah,
in the
yeah.
kitchen.
You just basically input the variables for your infusion, because it's usually an infusion based thing. And then depending how much you're using in a recipe, you can determine the potency per serving.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty useful because that's the thing I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of people mess up is like making them far too potent.
Yeah, and like I do admit that even with a calculator, it's not as accurate as getting it lab tested, or if you have like a T-check or something like that. But honestly, I think as long as you have a pretty good range of, what you're working with, I think at least that's some context. So if you're gifting edibles in particular, and you're like, I've calculated this to be 20 milligrams or whatever per serving, that person has the information they need to like make an informed decision. Like, oh, maybe I should cut this in a quarter and see how I feel. And then I know
Mm.
the next night, like, yeah, maybe that dosing was super accurate. Because I just find if you're working with like homegrown flour, you don't have that exact percentage of how strong it is. You're always kind of guessing a little bit when you're making
Mm.
your own edibles, and not everybody's going to send it off to a lab. I
Mm.
never have. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
I don't
So,
even know how to. I've heard that you can, but I've just been like,
yeah.
why would I care about my home ground? I guess it would be interesting to know, but I
Yeah.
know it's not going to be
Yeah.
as good, I suppose. So it's well,
Right.
but for the outdoor especially. But
Well, you can also send your infusions to a lab too if you want. Like they'll test that kind of stuff as well, but I've never actually done it.
have you ever tried to make? I think it's called cannabis, if I'm remembering correctly. But you use glycerin. Have you ever done this before?
That's the one infusion I've never made is
I have
glycerin.
made it. I have made it.
Yes, yes, that's the one I have, and mainly because a lot of the feedback I get is glycerin works well, and it works well in certain applications, but it doesn't. The extraction efficiency isn't as good as alcohol, so that's why
I
you
see.
find people use alcohol instead of glycerin. But sometimes, as far from a taste perspective, glycerin's going to be better, because
Yeah,
alcohol, like infused alcohol, it's harsh. It's harsh shit.
absolutely.
So
Um,
yeah,
Yeah, I'll tell you about my cannabis making experience in one sec, but I
yeah.
just want to acknowledge the chat. We got a few people in here, 5 people. Can you guys let us know where you're coming in from? We'd love to know who we got going on in our chat, if you don't mind. That'd be great. We're both coming from Ontario, putting
Woo, woo,
Ontario
woo.
on the map. Let's go! And yeah, but it's nice to chat with you, Margaret. So if you're just coming in, Margaret is an edibles, an at-home edibles maker who has a podcast. Bite Me. I like the name of the podcast too. Is
Oh,
it Bite
thank
Me,
you.
the podcast about edibles? That's how I would phrase it.
It's Bite Me the show about
The
edibles,
show
but
about
then
edibles.
it often gets called Bite Me podcast as well.
I'm gonna start
But
binge listening to it because I fall asleep every night listening to podcast of
Right.
every variety, and this will be perfect. So you'll be my sleep.
Oh, I'm gonna put
my
you to
sleep.
sleep? No.
No. But honestly, what it is it has to be really interesting for me to fall asleep. So it's actually a
Oh, that's
compliment.
so much pressure now too.
Better be interesting, Margaret.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna find out you fell asleep like straight away because you're like
I'm
that.
insomnia. I'm like, I can't
Yeah,
sleep anymore because the Margaret's not
right.
interesting. No, that's not what it is. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, I'm gonna
But
get a
thanks so
message
much.
from you. It's gonna be
Thanks so
like,
much for coming on. Honestly, and we'll
yeah,
keep talking.
yeah.
But it's just nice to connect. So yeah, with Canaglide, it's called Canagliss or Canaglide. I don't know what everybody calls it, and I actually can't find anything online about it right now. But basically, yeah, you take glycerin and then it's like vegetable grade,
Yeah.
and you have to like heat it really slowly. So I did it over the course of 6 months, and I put it on a radiator, and then you just rotate it every day. But
Oh,
what it made was so strong, like so much
oh,
stronger
really?
than anything I'd ever made. Like a little tiny drop in my coffee got me like rocked. Yeah, it
That
was too
sounds
much.
too strong. Yeah,
Too much. I
yeah,
basically took a jar and I jammed it full of weed, and I was like, all right, this will be like probably enough. Hopefully that's good. A little bit more than I need. And it was just like nobody wanted it. But it tasted like so sweet. You didn't even taste the cannabis. So it was
yeah, and
great.
that's why people would like it for certain
Yeah.
things like that. Yeah, it's just because of the taste. Now, you said you would let it sit for 6 months.
Yeah, because apparently the process, because you're doing it at such a low temperature, like you
Yeah,
can't heat it up too much because I think that the sugar would like evaporate. I don't know exactly why that you have to do it at a low temperature, but it has to be a pretty low temperature. It's not supposed to be like hot, but you
right.
can speed up the process if it is a little bit hotter than what you might have around. Like if you had something that could specifically get the temperature dialed in. But
Yeah.
I just throw it on the radiator and I just forget about it. It's there and then come back
I
like
mean, the
3 weeks
radiator would
later.
be nice too because it would be pretty consistent temperature, I would imagine,
Exactly.
most of the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, a nice even heat. Yeah,
So yeah, maybe I'll try to do something with glycerin and honey and
yeah,
do like a combo, and then I
yeah.
could use that but I don't really need to if I infuse it. So we'll worry about that more later. Oh, this reminds me actually. There's I also saw another thing in the news that I thought was hilarious. There's these so I was looking at bees and all this bee stuff. Now they got the hive, and there's these bees in Nepal that produce psychedelic honey.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah, so
how is this happening?
okay, I'll read you it. So basically, it's okay. So I looked it up. Okay, so the bees you're referring to do not eat human-made drugs. Instead, they ingest natural plant neurotoxins from specific flowers to create a rare psychoactive substance known as mad honey.
Wow.
Yeah. Or deli ball in Turkish. It's something that they do in there. So the bee and the flower. So the primary producer, is the Himalayan giant honeybee, the largest honeybee species in the world. The bees forage on high altitude rhododendron flowers, specifically rhododendron luteum and rhododendron popticum. the toxin the toxin rhododendrons contain nanotoxins, a group of natural neurotoxins meant to protect the plant from predators. The bees are immune to the toxin, but it passes directly into the honey.
That's really interesting because you can grow rhododendrons here.
Yeah.
I wonder, could you do that?
I don't know. Well, I think the problem is that the bees have to only be eating that one thing,
Oh, okay. Well, then,
right?
yeah,
Like,
that's not gonna work.
yeah. So that's the
Yeah.
hardest thing. Some
Oh,
people were
that's
asking
super
last time.
interesting.
Yeah. Oh, we got Ramul in the chat here too. He was out here last week. Thanks for coming in, Ramul. People are trickling in. Thank you guys for coming out. But yeah, so I would love to try the honey. I don't know if I'll ever be able to make it, but yeah, in a situation like where you would want to make the bees have the pollen, I think you'd have to do it like in an enclosed environment. Now it makes me wonder if they do that, but I don't know. Somebody
Yeah.
brought up in the chat last time, like you could do a whole room of pollinating male plants.
Right.
It'd be like weed honey, I guess. But yeah, so that was fascinating. I was like, damn, this is these
Yeah,
bees
I've
are.
never heard about that. But yeah,
Yeah.
you can't grow rhododendrons here, so I don't know. Just plant that seed for
Yeah, I
you.
don't know if it might be. Yeah, this is a very interesting thing. It's been a common theme on this channel of me getting critters high. I didn't really mean to do it, but I ended up.
Right.
I don't know if you saw the video of me feeding my worms 3 pounds of weed. I have a video of like, because I have all this weed from years of past homegrowns. If
Yeah.
you grow homegrown, you just end up with so much. So I fed it to my worms. So that was like the first part. Then obviously got the wormholes. Now we're going to try to get the bees into the mix. I was thinking they do eat gummies. So
Oh, do they?
yeah,
You're
they'll eat.
okay. Is the
They'll,
sugar
they'll eat any
good for
kind of
them?
sugar. Apparently, it doesn't affect them, but we could still try.
Okay. So you're not gonna have a bin full of worms with diabetes or anything.
No.
Okay.
Because they're eating too much.
Right. You're giving them too many worms or too many gummy worms. It's like that might be
No,
weird
no,
too.
not the worms. Not the worms are not
Oh, the
eating the gummy
bees.
worm. The bees will eat the cannabis
Oh,
gummies.
really?
Yeah, because they'll eat
Oh,
sugar. So we
oh,
could.
interesting.
Yeah. So I actually I think I'm going to try that this week and see what we got. But we were talking about the dances that they do, and we were concerned they're going to like the bee dances.
Yeah, I have heard of those,
Yeah,
but I'm
they
not super
basically
familiar with them.
it's really fascinating stuff. We talked about it in the last live, but essentially there's like four kinds of bee dances. There's the waggle dance where they get up and they like waggle their butts and they do a figure eight. And it's like
Okay.
how long they do their runs for and how like how much they waggle tells them how much the food is and how far it is away and the direction of their abdomen in relativity to the sun, which who knows how they do that, tells them exactly the direction. So that's like the first
Huh.
dance. There's the round dance, which is more for like close things, and then there's the tremble dance, which is more like somebody there's too much nectar coming in, and they have to like tell them like I need more
Slow
help. So
down.
they shake and they get frustrated, I guess. And
Oh, that's so
so
interesting. So they're
we were
communicating
concerned though
with
if
these dances.
exactly, oh, very much so, like really specific. But we were concerned that if we fed them cannabis, they'd be getting all lost and be like, "Man, it's not over here, dude. You said it was here."
The beeline just falls apart. It's
Yeah.
just it goes. It's not a beeline anymore. It's a bee something
They're
else.
all just fine. They just go hanging out, eating junk food everywhere. They're all
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
obese worms, barely able to
Right.
fly. I mean, it's just lots of problems could spike up. Um, so let's see what we got here in the chat. Headphones, if fertilizers are not a deal. Okay. Oh, dang. Well, you got a general purpose one, and then you got it looks like a flowering formula there. That doesn't say, oh, for both were for tomatoes. Tomatoes are pretty similar to cannabis plants, man. I don't know if you're that far off. Um, I love Guy Green. Do you so do you do any home gardening at all now? You said you mostly don't, right?
Actually, it's funny you say that because this is the first year that I put in a vegetable garden in a long time. And
Nice.
it's been really interesting because I put in tomatoes. I think I'm going to have 5,000 tomatoes very,
Whew,
hopefully.
nice. Let's
But
go.
maybe I'll probably be sick of tomatoes by a certain point. But I am excited for that. But I put in corn this year.
Ooh,
And have you ever heard of the Three Sisters?
no.
So basically, the idea is it's like this indigenous kind of system of biodiverse system of growing where they would plant corn, pole beans, and squash all together. So
Cool.
the beans grow up the corn provides the trellis, and then the squash is sort of grows lower to the ground and helps to keep the soil moist and
Huh.
shaded so it doesn't dry out. And they all just like synergistically,
Whew.
add the nutrients that they need to the soil. So I've tried that this year. I have definitely made some
How's it
mistakes,
going? How's it going?
but I'm gonna have corn, and my beans are flowering, but I've
Oof.
never seen corn like grow like that before. So that's
Yeah.
been really interesting because like you always see the corn in the field and you're like, oh look,
Yeah.
it's a field full of corn. But I like when it started to flower, I'm like, what is this happening? And then I saw where the silks were starting on the stalk, and I was like, I had no idea that's how it
Mm,
worked.
that's
So it's
cool.
just been really interesting to sort of watch this grow and actually learn a bit more about the food that, we eat all the time and don't really think about, like how it actually grows. So yeah,
Mm.
that's been fun.
So are the beads on the corn yet, or is it not quite come together?
Yeah, the
Oh,
beans are like vining up the corn.
that's so cool. I didn't even think
Yeah,
about that. It's kind of
yeah,
such a clever idea.
yeah.
Do you have to do any specific nutrients for corn? Is it like just general purpose, or do you do anything fancy?
I haven't done too much fancy. It's been seemingly they've been doing okay since I put it in. I've heard people say that corn is a very like they like nitrogen, like
Mm, mhm.
many other types of vegetables and cannabis and all that kind of thing. So that's probably not a big surprise there. I haven't really done much as far as feeding it. I did make some lactic acid bacteria to feed some of my plants just for
Nice.
fun because somebody was talking about it and it's like a really inexpensive thing to feed your plants and it lasts for a long time. So I was like, I'm going to try it out. And
Nice.
yeah, we'll see how that goes. So far, they seem to like it because I'm using it on my weed and everything because
Nice.
they're like, yeah, all the plants like it. So,
So
yeah.
you do have a weed plant though going?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. What kind of plant you got?
I have there's definitely a CBD plant growing. There's like a Northern Dream. I I have to admit I got some of them a little mixed up this year.
Oh
Some of
man,
my tags
classic.
and stuff because I started them indoors and then some of them didn't do so well and then I had to like start
How many
again.
edibles were you eating when you fucked it up,
That's not
Margaret?
something I'm gonna talk about publicly, but but yeah, they kind of somehow got mixed up. So I have a note on my phone that I think is relatively accurate because I have 3 in the ground by my vegetable garden, and then I have some more on my deck. And I
Mm,
just thought I'd see how they compare. The ones in the ground are actually pretty small,
mm,
which I was kind of like, oh, you know, I've always wanted to grow the monster cannabis plant, and it's never really happened because where I lived, I've only been in this place where I lived for like a couple of years. And before that, I grew outside, but the conditions were not that great, like way too much shade and
mm.
stuff like that. So yeah, I was always hoping to have the monster cannabis plant, but then, you know, come fall and harvest time, sometimes you're like, it's not that bad. You guys are all gonna be in trim jail. And
Trim jail.
I'm
That's
gonna be
exactly what
like,
it is. I can
I'm
only
gonna
listen to so much reggae.
That's right. I know, right? So like the ones up in my garden, one of them is flowering really well, and it's not very big, but it looks fantastic. So I'm gonna be
Well, no,
like, well, you
it's
know,
already flowering.
one of them is, yeah.
Yeah.
I should look up to see which one that is, but I can. And it could have been an auto as well because I did have some
Mm.
autos in there, just
You have no
because
idea, so who knows?
I got to find the note on my phone. It was a while ago, and I definitely got some stuff mixed up. But
I
yeah,
think that's the most classic thing that people do, like
I
when they're
know.
growing, is just it's like so hard to do. I think people
Yeah,
overlook how difficult it is, like the steps that lead into the first part if you're starting from seed. Because like this year, I was doing gonna do Gorilla Glue for my Gorilla Grow. I don't know
right.
if you've seen my like swamp thing, but anyways, my plan was to do that because I know it's a really mold hardy plant. Like it
Mhm.
never really got any issues for me when I've grown it before. And I was so excited, and I was like doing my one of my early videos on this channel, and I just like poured the seeds down the sink, like trying to, you do the first step where you put the water in the cup or whatever you do.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I did that, and then I was trying to pour the water out, but my daughter was talking to me. I was trying to set up the camera, and I just poured all 5
Oh
seeds out.
no.
It's like
Oh, did you
there
buy them
was,
too?
yeah,
Because you're like, "Oh, there's $100 down the drain," literally.
yeah, it
Sometimes
really
those seeds
sucked.
get expensive. Yeah, I'd be pretty mad about that too, but
Yeah. The
yeah.
good news is that we're going to be interviewing a guy in a week who's a breeding expert.
Ooh,
I'm going to be interviewing somebody, so hopefully you can pop in maybe.
yeah, yeah.
But he's somebody I met through the channel who's out in BC, and he's been breeding seeds for years, and he's going to basically educate us on kind
Are
of
you
like
are
what
you
the
gonna
process
give us a
is.
teaser as to who that is?
Yes, his name. Well, yes, his name is Moonbeam Charles,
Oh,
and you can
okay.
check out his channel, and it's really cool because he's really just focused on like
I
breeding.
will check that out. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a pretty funny dude too, so his content's pretty good. But particularly, I'm interested in like how to, because especially what's going on in the states, they're gonna have this
Yeah.
seed ban. I think we're all gonna need to know how to save our seeds, and we're obviously fine here in Canada, but I think it's a pretty cool topic to get into right now. I think we're gonna be like seeing a lot of people get excited about
Well,
making their own seeds
honestly,
pretty soon.
it's interesting that you bring that up because, like, one of my daughters is also putting in a vegetable garden this year, and she's never really done that before. So it's been really fun to sort of do this alongside her. And
Mm.
like when I was first telling her about my corn and how like the flowers were coming up, she's like, "Oh my God, your corn is corning." And that was before I realized that that wasn't the corn cob coming up. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But we've talked a lot about like saving seeds for a lot of
Yeah,
the things that we're growing
yeah,
because it just makes sense to save
absolutely.
seeds, and then you don't have to go to, like, Canadian Tire to buy them, or wherever people
Oh,
buy
yeah,
their seeds, or, cannabis seeds can get really expensive to buy. But if you have seeds that you've saved
totally.
because something,
Well, have you ever thought to get into worm farming by any chance?
honestly, it has crossed my mind, and I was introduced to worm farming as a child because I had grandparents who were big gardeners, and they always had like vegetable gardens and stuff. And I remember my grandfather had a worm farm,
Nice.
so it's
Quadrex,
not like
Quadrex just jumped in, man. Thanks for hopping in, Quadrex. These are some people who have been popping in more frequently recently, so I love to see that. Um, yeah, so with worm farming, you should definitely do it if you're into all this shit because there's so much crossover, and it really does for me scratch like almost the exact same itch, except that you have all these benefits. So you were just talking about like starts, right? Like when you do worm farming, because it's cold compost. Do you know the difference between hot and cold compost?
yeah, I think so. Like, yeah,
Basically hot compost is outside and you're making like
yeah,
a big pile and you're literally heating it
and
up
it
to a
does heat
point where
up.
it heats up hot, right? Well, the worms, that's not what they're doing. They're living in like cool compost. And so you end up with all of the seeds from the food that you put into it sprouting. So if you eat like pumpkins and squash and cucumbers and whatever, it doesn't even matter what it is, peppers, tomatoes especially, they just sprout. So you use it in your garden.
Really?
You got dude, I have like hundreds of starts this year in my garden.
And this
Hundreds.
is just from your worms
Yeah,
pooping it out, basically, the things that
absolutely.
you fed them. See, I love
Exactly.
that kind of regenerative nature too, because it just feels like now when everything is getting crazy expensive, like if you can mitigate costs by, having worm poop starts, then
Well, dude,
why
there's
not?
so much. Oh, and get this. So I was like, okay, that's like usually I just rip them out and I have to kill them. I try to take as
Yeah,
many as I can and put them in pots, but within a few days you have more than you need. Every almost 50% of my garden outside is just from these starts.
yeah,
So I told my daughters, I was like, maybe you guys should like try to sell these. So we transplanted a bunch into like little toilet paper rolls and we
yeah.
made little pots. They made $200 in 2 days
Wow.
going up and down the street, knocking door to door.
Right. That's amazing.
I was like,
Yeah.
this is like, I could send you guys to university on this shit if we can get this like
That's
locked in
right.
here, folks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's one of the major benefits. Another thing is like your food waste is so much better processed because I don't know what your situation is with like municipal garbage, but you got to put your garbage in like containers and bring it to the curb. Half the time it gets like dragged out by raccoons. You got this like smelly thing in your kitchen the whole week. I take my food, immediately goes in the freezer, so there's no smell. They want the food fresh, worms, and they want it like
Right.
soft, so the freezer breaks it down. I just go down to the basement. There's my garbage bin is like half empty at the end of the week because it's like there's nothing. I don't have
Like
that
you
much
just take it all
like
the food
yeah,
scraps that
all
you
it's
normally
clean. You can just throw the
yeah.
bag outside and there's nothing in it
Yeah.
like at food waste anyways. So there's a
Hmm.
lot of benefits. All the cardboard too, they eat 50% cardboard, 50% of your food waste. So like, I got tons, like for instance, pizza boxes are non-recyclable. I don't know if you know that, but you can't actually recycle a pizza
No,
box.
I
Yeah,
didn't
because
know that.
they get impregnated with like the greases and they can't recycle that. So they can actually you could rip off the top and they will
Mhm.
recycle that, but they won't typically they will have to remove pizza boxes. So anyways, you have like excessive amounts of all of the materials and then you can sell the worms obviously for money and now the start. So
Right.
it's like you get into it and it's kind of a
It
cool
becomes a
little
wormhole a little
it
bit.
becomes
You go down the
you go
wormhole, the rabbit hole,
to
wormhole. I don't
it's
know.
it happens
Yeah.
to everybody.
Honestly, you're actually kind of making me think about it a little bit because like I don't like I live in more of a rural area, so I don't really have we do have a compost bin, but it's not used a ton. Like I use it a little bit, but
Mm.
the
Well, I'll
idea
hook
of
you
just
up.
reducing the waste makes a ton of sense because if I'm like, why throw it out if I can
Absolutely. Well,
feed it to a
I
worm?
got worms. I got worms, and soon you're gonna have worms too.
Okay. You've got worms. I've got worms. We all got worms. Yeah.
We've all got worms. Okay, there was a guy selling worms on the sly here during the lockdown from the back of the sushi shop. Nice, sneaky little back.
Lockdown worms. I like
Yeah,
it.
it was funny too because I mean, I guess I probably shouldn't say these things on this type of thing, but I used to like barter. We'll say barter with cannabis
Right.
back when it was illegal, obviously,
Well, like,
and
why not?
of course, right? Like
Bartering
it's
is
it's
as
like
old
that
as time.
it's like that trailer park boys episode with he had like the hash coins. He's
Oh
just
my
going
God.
around like
Is that from like
buying
the era?
gas and like groceries with hash coins.
Is that
It's
when
like
they had like the driveway of hash, the hash
yeah,
driveway?
yeah,
I
yeah,
remember that.
there was
Yeah.
a point in time I felt like that because I had like bricks of hash and it's just like
Yeah.
going around and giving it out. What was I going to say? Oh, I have a great business idea. I need you to get on Vibe. I told the group last week, but I'm going to tell you about it. Okay, it's called
Okay.
Ashes to Hashes. So what we're going to do, we're going to take people's loved ones,
Okay.
their ashes, that is,
Yeah.
and we're going to plant them in cannabis plants, and then we're going to process that into bricks of hash with like messages on them, you know, the dates that they're alive, and then we're going to give them to them. Tell me that's
Oh,
not the best. Ashes to Hashes. Come on.
I do like that. I do like that. I mean, you hear about people like getting ashes pressed into vinyl, like LPs, like there's all kinds of things. Why not hash?
Right?
I mean,
Come on.
maybe you could also make seeds out of that too somehow, so that
Oh,
they can keep growing,
absolutely. Oh, we could even
keep
get further
propagating.
into it. You'll get a little bit of seeds, you'll get a little bit of dabs, you'll get a little bit of, well,
Right.
everything. It'll be a little
Yeah.
goodie bag.
A little goodie bag of your loved ones.
Somebody said
That's
last week you'll be able to see them in the smoke like your loved one, the ghost
yeah.
of your
Yeah. I mean, if you're a little into the occult, maybe you might
yeah.
see more than
I
especially after you've smoked
feel
it.
like if I was smart, this actually could happen. I just feel like
Right.
people want it. You know, like I'm telling you, everybody in this group right now wants to be turned into a brick of hash when they die. I guarantee it.
Well, I
Tell me,
mean, I've thought of if I die, I would probably get cremated anyway, so why not do something fun with it?
this is from
With the
a
ashes.
Ramuel. I knew somebody whose last will and testament was that part of their ashes go into cannabis grow. There you
There you
go.
go.
See, this
There
is
you
it.
go. And N equals one experiment that says, hey, maybe you should look into this.
Yeah, yeah,
If
exactly.
one person is asked, then somebody else will. Somebody else would
Exactly.
think that's really cool. Yeah.
Dust to dust. That's a good one too.
Yeah.
um, anyways, okay. Well, awesome that people are popping in. We got a few people hanging out. Very nice. So you only do edibles, no drinking?
Like alcohol?
Yeah, do you drink alcohol? You have a drink with you tonight, or none of that?
No, I do have water, which is very boring. I know. I actually normally do drink, but I did a dry January,
Oh,
and I haven't had a drink since. I did a
good
dry
for you.
January and a tolerance break at the same time, and
Very good.
then
Keep it
resumed
up.
the weed. But then I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna keep doing this no alcohol thing and just see where it takes me. And
You'll probably be way healthier for it. So good for you.
yeah, I mean, it feels pretty good. Will I never drink again? Probably not. Like I do like wine. I am a wine lover, and there's some pretty great craft beers out there now too. So
I have a
yeah.
question for you. Would you like me to show you my worms?
Yeah.
You want to see my worms?
That's
Hopefully it'll
only
work.
because we've been on here for over an hour by now. Is that question acceptable? Otherwise, you never ever
You,
lead with that.
I
Okay.
know. I'll show my indoor grow first, so we can
Okay.
take a look at some buds, and then
Right.
I always been doing these lives now for a few weeks, and every time, well, most recently people hung in, but every time I show the worms, people you just watch the numbers go.
Really? People aren't interested in the worms? Worms?
Nice. Quadrex has got a Guinness, so nice stuff. Who in the chat, if you can say, do you want me to show you my worms? Let me know if you want to see my worms, and I will show you them. I wish I could show you outside, but it looks like my connection's acting all whack, which I don't know what that's about, honestly.
Is
So
it not dark out there by now? It would be dark.
yeah, it is. It is. So we can't. But last time I did the live, I went out and the connection was fine, and this time it wasn't. So show me the
Right.
worms. That's you.
Yeah, it is.
I'm always excited to see the worms. That way I can properly identify mine from yours. Oh, okay. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, let's see if we can make it happen.
Okay.
We'll wander down to my to the official wormhole headquarters. my basement. All
So
right.
do you have a grow going on right now too?
Yeah, so I kind of ran out of weed that I wanted to smoke.
Right.
So I and this I had all my starts for the outdoor brew.
Yeah.
Working. Is it cutting out, Margaret?
A little bit. Yeah.
Let's see if I can get
It did.
downstairs. If it does, you got to take over entertaining these folks, okay?
Oh shit, that's a lot of pressure. I'm usually behind a mic, and I'm usually like, pre-recording and stuff.
You're
Never
fine.
mind the
You'll be
fact
fine.
that I do the show with the High and Homegrown crew every Sunday, but
Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Okay, show worms for science. Let's do it. Okay, my basement is a bit of a murder zone, so pardon that part of it.
well, isn't that what
Okay.
basements are for? Isn't that
Yeah,
the way
yeah.
most of them are?
I got a couple murder zones in my house that just seem kind of strangely dilapidated, but I got priorities here. I got worms and bees. All right, so I don't know how. Can you see what I'm looking at here? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we are into about
Those
2 weeks
great.
left. Oh, thanks. Yeah. So it's just a small plant. Like I said, I just needed some weed to tide me over until the fall harvest. So I just threw the plant in here and pretty much put it into flower within like a week. But the buds are really like starting to harden up. These are like rock hard. And yeah, the smell is really nice. It's like kind of got like a grapey smell, but it's mostly like a hash and like a pine. It's really nice. So we'll see if it works out, but looking
So what
pretty decent.
varieties? What varieties are these? Is there
So
two plants there, or it's just one?
just the one. It's just the one.
Yeah.
This is also bubblegum kush. I was gonna have the Gorilla Glue going, but obviously I threw that down the sink. So I'm left with the Thin Mint bubblegum kush, and then I have two plants in my compost pile that sprouted that
Oh,
that I have no idea what they are. So
right. The
but yeah,
mystery weed. That's okay.
the buds are looking pretty nice. I'm trying to get a good shot of this.
Yeah,
This
they do look
camera's
really
not.
good. And you haven't had any issues with the heat. Like,
No,
do you
I
have,
have
do you have
had the
AC?
issues. I have an EAC. So if you look at this like room, I not only have like the grow room, but then it's enclosed in like plastic.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like I'm ACing this one part of my house, and the rest of the house I'm like suffering. But the
I hope
plants,
you have AC in like the upstairs, right?
no, my plants are the most important thing.
Oh my God.
My girlfriend's like, "Can we have the AC?" I'm like, "Nah."
You're like, sorry, we're
You're dreaming.
mainlining for the weed. I hope she smokes, because otherwise she might be
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh,
she's like the main reason we're out of weed, so it's not my
okay. Then she's like, I approve.
Okay, so here's my worm bins. Okay, so I'll try to do this. I have to hold my computer while I do this, so it's a bit of a bitch. But okay, so
Right.
I got these four. This is about one.
Oh, wow.
So this is about 8 or 9 square feet, but I have a total of about 50. So these are flow through bins. So basically, the bottom pops off, and you can get the castings out of the bottom.
Oh, okay.
So you don't have to turn the whole bin over. It's like a
Right.
flow through system.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, it's pretty
That
cool.
makes it
You
a
can
lot
take
easier.
yeah, for sure. Here, let me see if I can get this to go down. Nope.
So
Okay.
are
never
like,
mind.
is each bin a different stage of,
Nope. They're all pretty much just going at the same stage.
you're just making
Um,
lots of worm castings?
Yeah. So this
Oh,
is the worm castings right here. So it's just their shit basically.
yeah.
Let me see if I can find a big old chunk of them. Okay, here's a big pocket of them right here. I don't know if you can see that very well.
It's hard. It's a bit hard to see, but I do. So what are they, red wigglers? What do we got here? What am I looking at?
You're looking at red wigglers, exactly. So yeah, they are popping off right now. This one's not super populated. Let me get some more lights going on. Hold on one sec. It's not super populated. I took some out and sold them recently. So
You just take out like a chunk of worms and then you put them in a old yogurt container and you're like, here you go.
Yep, that's exactly what I do. I use all like anything I sell them in. It's usually old milk containers, like like the cardboard ones.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, so they just like make their own. Like every month, every adult can make a cocoon, and every cocoon can have about 3 or 4.
You cut out.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm kind of losing you there, eh?
Yeah, I don't know if I froze or you froze, but one of us froze. It seemed like you on my end.
Yeah, there's something going on with my network, but anyways, yeah, so you can quadruple your population.
So like from one of those bins, would you get enough soil Like you'd get enough castings for what?
Oh, here. Check this out, actually. This is more interesting. So they like to hang out on the top of the bin.
Oh,
Yeah, so I don't know why they do that exactly, but this is
so
just like a clump of them. So
they crawl up to the ledge?
they crawl onto the ledge, and it's because they want to. So all worms are both male and female, but they
Okay.
need to exchange DNA with another adult. So when they go up on the side of the bins, like this, for instance, you see how they're like
Yeah.
kind of crossing over each other?
Yeah.
That's basically them like mating.
Huh.
So they come up on the side of the bins. Sorry, I know this is not the best view, to basically exchange DNA.
Wow.
And
I
that's
didn't
how
know
they
that.
and you know the thing around their neck, everybody calls it like a wedding band, right?
Yeah.
It's called a clitellum.
Okay. Is that
And it
related to the clitoris,
no,
perhaps?
no,
Oh,
unrelated.
okay. Oh, I thought that's where you
Where's
were
your
going with
mind
that.
right now? No, just joking.
Well, you were talking about exchanging DNA. I don't know.
But that's where the cocoon comes out of. So it like they basically rub up against each other, and then like they have to rub against something to get that out of their band. So when you see that
Oh,
band on a worm, it means that they're mature and that they're going to start producing babies.
okay.
So every month they're just popping them off. But yeah, so this is just the time where they're still mating. So every bin will like max out at a certain population, but until it
Right.
maxes out, they continue to produce. And then at a certain point, they know how many worms are in the bin, and they'll stop.
That's so crazy that they know.
I
Like,
know, it's really wild. Like I
I
don't
mean,
know how they know that kind of stuff.
some of the things I've learned about bees too, which I'm sure you know way more than I do with your experience, is like it's fascinating. This stuff is fascinating,
Oh,
honestly.
totally, it is. Yeah, that's why I like to do all this stuff. But here's an apple, for instance. Here, I'll try to show you this apple. So this is an apple I fed them last week.
Right. Oh, and they're
Here, let
still
me see.
munching on it.
Oh yeah, and there's like if you look, you can't because my camera kind of sucks. But if you look even closer, then you can see it's completely carpeted with little babies that are all squiggling around,
Yeah.
and they're like nano size.
Oh,
Um,
really? It doesn't look like there's much of an apple left either. It just looks like dirt.
no, no, exactly. So every week I got to come down here. The thing that's tough though is it's actually really hard to keep up with them. Like at a
Right.
certain point, you don't have enough food waste to actually
Really?
keep. Oh yeah, yeah. Like it gets really
But
tough.
is that
Like
because you have 5 bins? Like if I had
it
one
is.
bin,
Yes, yes. If you only had one, then you'd be fine. You can stop
right,
at a certain point, but I just have like a mental issue that I have to do more than I need to do.
right,
This is a piece of corn that I put in probably about 2 weeks ago, and
right.
they've completely eaten every square inch of what was on it.
Oh, so
And like,
it had kernels on it.
oh yeah, yeah, this was like
Oh,
full.
okay.
And in
Oh,
fact,
they
I
ate
think
all the
this was
good
like
stuff.
yeah, but now it's like fragile. Like it just they basically.
Wow.
Oh look! I just cracked it open. There was a worm inside. He's just crawling out of the hole. So they just love this kind of stuff. And if you're building like good soil, you want to use stuff that they actually can't break down because it ends up in your soil. So like that's why I use beer grains because the
Okay.
beer grains take like a couple of years to break down, so they don't actually break it down.
So it's like slow, it's like a slow thing.
Yeah,
You want to
exactly,
slow things down. Do they just give
exactly.
you that stuff as a waste product or they sell it to you? The beer,
Who? Oh,
the
the beer.
beer
No, yeah.
people.
So they actually have to pay to get rid of it
Oh,
to
they
go to
do.
like yeah. So pig farmers come and take it.
Right.
And some places they will like they have arrangements that it's freer for them, but that's why they let me take it just because I can like take I don't take very much. It's like a fraction of one
Yeah.
recipe in a brewery, but
Right.
the guy's like kind of heady who runs the place there, and so he wanted to he has a bunch of the local composters come and take like whatever they want basically. So
Yeah, because otherwise he has to pay to get rid of it.
yeah, I've actually met some really cool people just hanging out
At
by
the
the beer spins like hey,
at the
the
back of the
compost
beer
can do
dumpsters. That's kind of funny. I love
Yeah, I'm
that.
gonna head
There's some
upstairs because I'm
breweries in
losing.
town. I should be like, that could be a good source of beer grains because there's a few in town.
Oh, it's great, and yeah, so the beer grains are perfect because they have a sugar in them. Like
Yeah.
you're using like malt, and then so that stuff ends up, like I say, building way better soil. So if you're gonna like like use worm castings in your garden, I
Yeah.
wouldn't typically recommend using a store-bought variety at the same levels I put it in. I mix it at 50% with my soil. But
Okay.
it's because my castings are so light that
Right.
they're basically, you could grow in them. Like I'm going to experiment probably the next year is just
Of
doing a
just
full
growing in
grow.
straight worm castings
Yeah.
with nothing else.
Yeah. Like I'll do amendments, like, like
Yeah.
calcium and magnesium and like, but you can do that stuff ahead of time too in the actual, oh no, I got cat incoming. Get out of here, Cluffy. Come on. you, you can, you can do that when you're actually feeding the worms where you just, you put the calcium in with them because they actually need a grit in their diet. So they actually eat food similar to how a chicken does. So chickens need a
Right.
grit, right? They don't have anything, they have to mechanically break down the food in their stomach. So you
Right.
put either
That's why
sand
they eat
in.
like little rocks and
Exactly.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So worms need the same thing. So they'll eat sand. You can put sand in their bins, or you can put in like calcium, like floured or powdered calcium, and it works the
Right.
same. And then you have the calcium in there for your soil, right?
Right.
So there's a whole bunch of stuff you could do ahead of time, but I would love to get to a point where it's like, okay, everything should be in there. Let's just go for it.
It's interesting too, because like I'm sure, I don't know if you're aware that the hops plant, which is obviously the beer, like what they're using to do beer, is related to cannabis. So the fact that you're feeding it the byproduct of beer making
Yeah.
is kind of full circle, maybe.
Yeah. My worms are getting messed up every day. It's a party in the bin
Yeah.
every time I open it up. There's music playing. It's like a
Right.
fish concert every time I open up the bin.
And where do you get those bins, like those flow through bins? Like,
So those ones I wouldn't even recommend getting honestly because they're really expensive. They're $400,
oh shit.
but they're
Okay.
cool. They're like nice in
Right.
the sense that they're very civilized. But I recommend just getting like a concrete mixing container from Home Depot. They're like 6 inches deep. And they're
Yeah.
like 3 feet by 2, and you can fit the same population of worms as those big bins.
Right.
So it's really
Okay.
about just like the surface area because they only live in this much of the material and they
Right.
only so they stay at the top. So the only point of that flow through bin to be tall is to let it compress down at the bottom, so the worms won't go down there. So when you clear out those castings, they're free of worms.
Right.
But you don't need that. Like mostly what I do is I set up these like shallow bins, and then I just put them all over the place. And you can have like as many worms as you ever want, and you can stack them too. Like you can make a vertical stacking type system like that.
Okay, with the long shallow bins. So
Yeah.
then if somebody does something like that and then they want to remove some of the castings to like build some soil or whatever, what do you just like scoop off the top layer where you can
I
see
love
all
this
the
because you're like
worms?
such a good interviewer, and now I
Oh.
have somebody to actually ask me fucking questions. So yeah, what you do, you do this. So there's a bunch of ways actually you could do it. What I typically do is I will like I'll pile like so I have a big I couldn't show you because our connection was cutting out, but I have one that's 8 feet by 3 feet. So it's like
Okay.
I could literally like they could just throw me in there when I die. It'll be fine.
Yeah. The worms will eat you.
And
Yeah.
so what you do is like you just start feeding one spot of the bin, and then you just start moving all of the
Oh,
material over to there so that that area is kind of like where you're keeping the worms for now and like feeding them, and then you put new bedding in the other side, and then you start feeding that side, and they start migrating out, and they
okay.
eventually just make their way over, and most of the castings are going to be done on this side of the bin.
Because they've
And
eaten
then
your food, they've pooped out all the castings, and then they move over to the bedding area.
yeah, the new bedding because they need bedding, so
Yes.
like they need a new, so you just stop feeding that area and it's like
Yeah.
done, they kind of migrate out.
And then they're free.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
so
you can scoop out the castings. I'm just
so
trying
yeah,
to
you
make sure I
so
have all this clear.
no, no. So I'm getting there.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you scoop out the castings at that point because they're basically worm free, and you could put them in big Rubbermaid bins. Like you just fill them up, and then I
Okay.
usually use like a trap. So you take like a milk container, like the cardboard ones, and
Mhm.
you just perforate all the sides a lot, and then you start feeding that in the casting bins, and then they
Right.
just start going in there, and every week you pull that out, and within 2 or 3 weeks, it's more or less worm free.
Okay, so this is just that last step is just to make sure you're not throwing worms out
Which
with the
would be fine.
castings.
Which would be
Yeah.
fine if you got lots of worms. Like it doesn't matter that
Right.
you have worms in your yard. In fact, it's beneficial. It's just a
Yeah.
little bit like they probably won't make it.
Yeah.
through the winter. Like they don't actually live. It's actually interesting that no worms are actually native to North America anymore. They were prior to the last ice age. The last ice age apparently wiped out every single species of worm in North
Oh, really?
America. And so now all the worms that you see are actually technically invasive. They're not considered invasive,
Right.
but they weren't like here before people came,
So
essentially.
who was bringing the worms?
Just like, I don't know, somebody had
Animals or
worms.
something? Like somebody had worms or
Probably like with vegetables and stuff. They brought crops and things like
right.
that. I don't think it was like intentional. I think that there's thousands of kind of worms, and I think like the composting ones are very particular. I don't really know, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. I was just thinking about the fact that you could also now get yourself turned into a cubic yard of compost. Did you know that?
After you die?
Yeah, yeah. Not
Like you
cremated.
can
You can actually like be decomposed.
oh, really?
Yeah,
You could just be like, "Bury me," or
yeah.
like, how does that work exactly? Where do they put your body?
So they take your whole body. I don't know if they like grind it up, or I'm not sure what they do, but they take your body and then they compost it, and then
Really?
they give you back a yard of compost. Yeah, don't ask me the details. I'm pretty sure that's not something that we need to get into on YouTube. But
Yeah, I don't know if that one would be as popular, maybe.
yeah,
Just
maybe
because
not.
it's like, I don't know how the composting process works.
Yeah,
Well, you want to make sure you're with a pretty ethical organization. Let's just say that.
yeah, yeah. We don't want to go with the mob or something in
Yeah.
this situation. But anyways,
Yeah.
it is my dream that if I die, I'm gonna either be turned into a brick of hash, or well, either way, it should be a brick of hash. So just this
Right.
is for you, Margaret, to let
Okay.
my loved ones know. Okay.
Yeah. So now it's been stated publicly that you do wish to be made into a brick of hash
Yes.
at the correct time. Okay.
People need to know.
Yeah.
Uh, I know what you're talking about. Ramble knows. I place a sack that is sprinkled with fungus that decomposes flesh. Ooh. Oh yeah, you're placed in
Okay.
a sack that is sprinkled with fungus. Oh, that's right. Yes, I saw that. That's right. So it's much more. It's a more mushroom type thing.
That's kind of
Um,
cool. Those decomposing mushrooms are pretty also fascinating as well. Have you ever grown
yeah,
any mushrooms?
that would be something I'd love to dabble in. But you know what it is? It's like it's so you have to be so clean and precise with the mushrooms. I worry about that with my kind of
Yeah.
like lifestyle. I don't know if I'll be able to pull it off. And I also just like I don't know if you have this, but you know, it used to be that it was illegal and you could do something with all this stuff. I mean, mushrooms now it's just everywhere, and the same thing with weed. And it's like it kind of stops my inhibition, or is it like my sorry, it stops my ambition to do some of these projects. I'm like, I don't need like a pound of mushrooms. Like
Right.
that's like
I
you know,
mean, the two things about that is yes, the mushroom, like if you're doing growing mushrooms from spores, you do have like, I've never successfully done it where they haven't gotten contaminated at some
yeah.
point during the process. You do have to be like super clean and it is tricky, but I have done mushroom kits and those were successful and a lot
Like
of fun.
with just like edible, like just normal mushrooms. No, other mushrooms. Okay, the other kind.
The other kind,
So,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't done the mushroom kits though, but had to tell me like how that works. So did you get like a spore needle, then you have an aquarium, or what's this deal?
I'm trying to remember now. It was a few years ago, but I've done it more than once. I think I did it like 2 or 3 times. And they send you the thing, it's already inoculated. And then I think you add it to your substrate, which they tell you how to like make sure it's what's the word I'm looking for? Clean or whatever.
Right,
Clean's not the right word, but I think you know what I'm
sanitary
saying. Yeah.
or
And so
sanitized.
yeah, and you add it to the substrate and then you just put it I had it in a bin, like a plastic bin with a lid, and you would go and you'd spray it a couple times a day with water
Mm,
just to keep it moist. And then you
mm,
just wait and wait and wait. And then one day you go in and there's like a little tiny pin showing up under like from the substrate that you had in there.
mm.
And then it's just from there they start to come pretty fast. And that's super fun because of the way it grows and the way it works. But I would say you could end up with a pound, but by the time you dry them, you have a lot less than that.
Yeah, it's just hard when you have all these stores now. Like I don't know if you guys have one out in but towards Peterborough, but there's literally mushroom stores now that I just
Yeah,
can
we don't
walk
have any
through.
of those here.
Oh shit,
Yeah,
that
I
that
know. But I have heard some of those in like Toronto where I've never been in one, so I don't know what they carry, but it does
they keep
seem
on getting like because
do they
they're
get busted?
somewhere out. They don't get busted for some reason, but the problem is they get targeted by like mobsters.
Mobsters.
Like I've seen one of them up the street, or there was something in the news about how they were like somebody tried to like steal all the shit, and because they're kind of somewhere in the non-legal legal
Yeah,
world,
it's like
like the
quasi.
cops don't really respond. So it was like a clever heist by these
That's
people
really
to
interesting because I don't know if anybody's told the mob that like there's no money in mushrooms.
yeah. Maybe it's just not the mob, but I don't know.
Yeah, like there's just I don't know. That's what maybe why it's never been that villainized or whatever. Like there would always be some guy selling mushrooms, but they're cheap. They're
Yeah.
you're not buying the Lexus with mushrooms, that's for
No,
sure.
no,
So
absolutely not.
yeah.
What else we got here? A friend of mine ran a company growing various mushrooms. I have his old laptop, probably covered in fancy spores. Haha. Okay, nice. So what part of the stage were you messing up every time, Margaret?
Oh,
Was it the part where you?
it was like the spore print when you have to like do the spore prints and then try and inoculate the substrate or whatever you're using with the spores. That's where and you wouldn't find out right away because it would take a bit of time for like the mold or whatever to sort of set in, I
Mm,
guess. But
right.
somewhere in that process, because it's like it
Okay.
just takes a tiny little bit for it to contaminate it. It doesn't take much at all.
Mm,
And so that was like with the kits that you're buying. And I've thought about actually doing this with culinary mushrooms because there's a guy I see at the farmer's market that has like kits for lion's mane and stuff like that. And I'd actually like to try those too. But those are already inoculated with all
mm,
the spores. And so I think it's a lot harder to fuck up, really, at the end of the
mm.
day. You don't have to have the same kind of pristine cleanliness. And I don't
Yeah.
know, have you ever heard of the show Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia?
No.
I don't know where you can watch episodes. It was on like Vice or something like that. But this guy is like some kind of scientist and he would interview people in various um drug trades, I guess.
I'm here right now. Sorry, I just stepped away from the camera.
Okay. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. Anyway, he would, and the one he did on mushrooms was really interesting because he talked to these guys who were doing like a mushroom grow for illegal mushrooms or whatever. And yeah, it's Hamilton Morris. And the mushroom one was super interesting because he was in this room with these guys. They're all masked up, so they can't see, like he can't see their identity, but their mushroom rooms were like spick and span. You could eat off the floor.
Wow.
It was kind of crazy, but and then he would like often eat like consume these drugs during a lot of these episodes and stuff like that. But very interesting because he came at it
Mm,
from a very scientific side,
mm.
but he did a lot of drugs.
Is it this Hamilton Morris guy? Is that what you already said
Yeah,
his name?
Hamilton
Yeah, yeah.
Morris, Hamilton's
Cool.
Pharmacopoeia.
I'm
It
gonna
might
check
be
it
on
out.
YouTube. I haven't seen it around in a while, and I kind of wonder what happened to that guy, but it was pretty interesting.
I think that given my my vibes, I don't think mushrooms and me would be a good combination with growing. I'm too messy. I don't know if you can tell by my house, but it's not
Right.
something that I'm gonna ace. So I think I'm gonna probably
Yeah.
stay away from that
Well, I
one.
mean, luckily, mushrooms are also something you can buy real cheap. So,
Yeah,
and it sounds like
exactly.
you have a store in town you can go to
Oh,
if
there's
it doesn't get hit
multiple.
by the mob or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, it's definitely a real thing here in Hamilton. I don't know what the
Yeah.
mob's like out there, but cool. I was gonna show you guys this book I got. My partner found me this book in one of those like free libraries on the
Oh,
street,
nice.
just like a full worm guide. But apparently, this is like one of the most made copies. So, Margaret, this one is what you should probably get. It actually goes through everything.
Right.
If you're a reader, you can check it out.
Yeah,
I'll
I
let you
do like to
borrow it.
read actually. Who wrote it?
This one is by Mary Appelhoff or Appelhoff. Uh,
Mary Applehoff. All
it
right.
sounds like it looks like apple, but it's the E is before the L.
It's
Um,
yeah.
but if you are going to get set up with worms, I am going to help you out. So you let me know, and I can definitely hook you up with all you need for
Yeah,
freezy.
I would be interested. I think the one that so how does it work in the wintertime?
Okay, so you don't want to have them outside. That is one thing about worms. You want them
Yeah,
indoors. You got to have
right.
worms like near you in the house.
Yeah.
you they like the same temperature we like. So like I said, they're not like native here. They don't really survive through the winter.
Hmm.
They live only in like compostable materials. So unless you pile up like one thing you can do is if you do it outside and you do kind of wormhole thing that I'm doing, you can pile up a massive pile of compost or leaves on the where the worms are, and they
Yeah.
will survive down in the bottom.
Okay.
So you can choose to do that, but if you're doing more of like the traditional route with worm farming, you're going to buy like some kind of bin, and you're going to have it indoors because they need the same temperature. And like by that I mean they don't want to be over 30 degrees Celsius, and they don't
Right.
really want to be under like 10 or 5 degrees. Like they'll still survive at that temperature, but they're not going to like do much.
So they're kind of
So
like, they're kind of particular.
they're
They
very
don't want it
particular.
too hot. They don't want it too cold.
And the food, they're even more particular about. They don't want it to be rotten. They want exactly what how we want it. Like if it's like a few days old, it will become anaerobic, like bacteria
Oh,
starts multiplying
interesting.
that bacteria, and they will avoid it and they won't want it. So they're very picky. But
Oh,
they are
very
also,
discerning.
I know,
Very
but
discerning.
they are also the best employees you'll ever have. They don't complain about anything. They eat all my garbage. They just like I always imagine when I open the bin, they like look up at me like I'm some sort of like god to them. Like
Yeah, you probably are.
Neil is here to feed us. The
That's
great
right.
one is here. So I think it's a very fun part of it is you have all these new friends and like yeah they're very particular, but what you're
Yeah,
left with is amazing compost. You got
right.
veggie starts. You've got all these cool worms. You get to sell them. It's like it's really cool. Maybe I don't know what the price is right now, but I think it's around $50 a pound. And like
Okay.
one of these concrete mixing bins is like probably 3 or 4 pounds. So you can
Okay.
definitely I sell for like 200 for 20 sometimes.
Right.
And it's pretty good. People just stop by and grab it. It's nice
So are
grocery
they
money.
grabbing the worms themselves or are they grabbing the castings?
The castings are kind of not as they are worth like I would most people are coming to me just for the worms. You can see the thing is like there's all these companies out there that sell the castings. So people are just like inclined to buy them.
Right.
I would argue though that the castings that you buy from commercial castings producers is an inferior quality because they have to heat treat it in some
Mm,
capacity to get rid of the seeds. So,
why is that?
well, because imagine buying a bag of like word castings from a store
Uh-huh.
and you go home and grow with it and all of these seed starts pop up.
But maybe I'll want that.
Maybe you would,
Because
but I
then I
think
don't
from
have to go back to the garden store
well,
to get the
that's why
starts.
you got to do it yourself, or
Right.
I'll give you castings and you can use them. But
Yeah.
typically, I think it's like not a marketable thing. Like they don't want
Yeah.
to market that,
Right.
so they heat treat it, and basically that like dries out the casting, which is a big part of how you lose a lot of the microbacterial life.
Right.
Um, so,
Yeah,
but
I
it
mean, that
also
makes sense that
yeah,
that would
so you're
happen.
exactly. You're drying it out and you're also heating it up. So past a certain temperature, they just die off. And that's the whole point of making the cold compost in the first part. So it's like I believe it's a bit of a scam. Like that
Right.
people buy it. It still works. It works really well. But I think people are just impressed by how much it works comparatively to compost. But like really good worm castings, I'd say are like way, way better for your garden. But either way, you can
Right.
buy it if you want. And I would sell it to people. It's just it's a little harder to make sure that thing is like again if somebody buys it and like I put all my vegetables and if they have little stickers on them they end up in the
Yep.
castings. If there's like a little bread tag it's in the castings, and I've given them to people. I have sold them before and people come back and they're like there's a little piece of plastic in here. It's like
Yeah,
buddy,
well,
like
yeah.
suck it
Do you
up like
want quality or do you want
yeah.
quality? Come on.
The same guy told me it was the best casting he'd ever seen in his life, so I was like all right well
Right. Well, you
take
get
what
what
you
you
could
get.
get man like
Yeah. Yeah,
so
get that in a store.
exactly
Yeah.
exactly so yeah. So, anyways, yeah, worms and all that. We got the podcast. That's awesome. And people that are coming in, Margaret is the host of an awesome podcast called "Bite Me," the show about edibles.
That is
Um,
correct. Yes.
and
New
you,
episodes every Thursday. And I will say, I could very well be the only podcast specific to edibles.
that's awesome.
I
That's really
mean,
cool.
maybe not. But last time I checked, but I'm not really sure, actually, now that
Yeah.
I say that. But I'm making that claim right now anyway. So,
Tell me
yeah.
about when you first started doing it. Were you like, because did you get an initial bump of success, or were you grinding it out for the first little while? Because I found that is an interesting thing about all this stuff. Is
Oh,
like,
it still feels like a grind sometimes.
oh yeah, no, for
Yeah.
sure. But like, did you
Yeah.
have any kind of initial like bump, or were you just like really pushing at it?
Honestly, what it was is like when I started, I wasn't as consistent as I was now. Like surprise, surprise. I put out an episode and then maybe I do another one in a couple weeks. And it was kind of like that for the first few months at least. But then what happened is somebody emailed me and they're like, I listened to your show and I really love it. And that's kind of what kept me going, I guess,
Nice.
is
Um,
just the feedback.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's so cool. Well, it's like a very supportive community, I found. I mean, like people are
Yeah.
generally really nice. The only thing I would say is there's a whole lot of cannabis gatekeeper trolls that like are
Right.
like, you can only grow like this, and what are you doing? But aside from a very small sliver of it, it's all really, really supportive. I don't know if you're seeing in the chat, but you just got a couple people who subscribe to your channel there.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you
I mean, I'm
guys.
Bite
That's
Me
awesome.
Podcast on YouTube, and
Yep,
then bitemepodcast.com is my website. And Bite Me
cool.
Podcast is my handle on Instagram. That's the social platform I'm on mostly.
Okay,
It's all Bite Me Podcast for the most part.
cool.
So, but Bite Me, the show about edibles is where you'll find me on all the podcast platforms.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have any? One other thing I didn't ask you about is you did some writing for cannabis publications. What was the
Yeah.
context? Is it all edibles, or were you kind of just?
Not all of it. I wrote a piece for who did it end up going? I think it was I went to Germany a couple of years ago, and I was in Germany for 420 when they legalized, which was really cool because I was there for a couple months, and I wrote a piece for Fat Nugs magazine about my experience being in Germany and also trying to find weed while I was there and making edibles. So I guess it was a bit about edibles, but it was just more about being like in Germany at that time because I was at like a 420 event at the Brandenburg Gate, which was like super cool because that was their first 420
Oh,
since they
cool.
legalized. I wrote another one. I had the chance to interview Mila, the hash queen. I don't know if you know Mila.
No, I don't.
She is, I mean, she's from Europe, but she is kind of a legend in the cannabis space, but like she only smokes hash. And
Hmm.
she's probably 80 now. She's been around for a minute, but she has written a book and
80.
yeah, yeah. She may have
He only
slowed down a
smokes
bit on the
hash.
hash now, but like, she invented the first washing machine for hash making or whatever. Her story's like
Oh,
crazy. Yeah, yeah. Her story's super crazy. I had the
oh,
chance to
that's
meet her in
cool.
Toronto, and so I did an interview and did an article about that. But more recently, I've been contributing to North Bloom magazine out of Minnesota. And
Okay.
that's sort of like a cannabis wellness magazine that they're really trying to push more into like mainstream spaces. It's a print magazine. And I've written a lot of like more recipes, but there's context around those recipes for that magazine. And I had her, the woman who's the editor in chief of that magazine as well. And she's incredible. Like that woman is uh, like, I don't know how she does it. She's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really
So
cool.
yeah. Yeah.
And so I was wondering, so what do you think? Because I know that the industry is very like male centric.
Yeah.
Just from what I see, I don't know, but I know that like for instance in my channel, it's like 95%. And like,
Yeah.
how's that gone for you? Like, do you get opportunities because of that? Like you were saying earlier, like I think I'm the only female. Like, is that something that you see changing at all, or is it just the way that it
Yeah.
is, the way the industry is kind of shaken out?
I think it's kind of interesting that you mentioned that because I feel like in the growing space, it's definitely very male dominated. I know that when I do this, like the live uh show with the high and homegrown guys on Sundays, like the chat's definitely mostly guys.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
don't know if that's because they have more spare time.
I don't know what it is,
There
honestly.
could be, I don't know, there could be a few different things around that, but it is very male dominated. And maybe that's just because for a long time, it was illegal. And so you had fewer women participating in the industry when it was illegal because, if mom goes to prison, well, what happens to the kids sort of thing? Not
Yeah.
really sure, but I definitely think it's changing. I see like the demographics for my own podcast uh, and the people who are in my community, and it's definitely mixed.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's cool though. I mean, it's great that
yeah,
you're doing it, and it's really nice to see. It's like a refreshing voice in this world of a lot of
yeah,
dudes out there. And
yeah. Thank
I
you.
love the community. It's really cool, but we need some
Yeah,
varieties
yeah,
of,
yeah,
of voices and people. We
yeah.
got Miko in here from Finland right now.
Oh,
He's
cool.
yeah, he's been following along with our swamp grow. Are you familiar with my swamp grow?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. So that's partly why people seem to be interested in my channel, to tell you the truth. But so the longer story is I grew weed up at my parents' cottage for years, like 7 or 8 years. And I don't know if you ever had this or anybody in the chats ever had this, but have you ever a person who grows weed outdoors, you start to get like grower vision where you can kind of like see places that, you could
Like
put a
good
weed plant
spots.
in. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
like driving down the highway when you're like, I got to put a weed plant right there. That's the best place on earth. And I
Yeah.
had one of those moments about the swamp that's near my parents' cottage. So I wandered out there some 7 or 8 years ago and like planted a weed plant, and it actually did really well. So
Right.
when this channel started going, I started the swamp grow, and so now people are like really obsessed with these plants. They're like, they've named the plants. The community has named the two plants, and people are really dialed in on these girls. They're all really worried about them all the time, and
So are they
very
still like,
challenging
where
conditions
are
because it's
they?
very dry. So it's up at my parents, around my parents' cottage, but it's on a private land, so it's like a friend's property that's massive. It's like 85 acres.
Right.
And so there's just a swamp back there that he said he's never even been to. I was like, I'll go check
Wow.
it out. So, um, anyways, I got the plant set up in the swamp, and it's really a humid environment. So it's kind of a challenging environment to be growing in. I mean, you talk about Ontario conditions being less than ideal for growing.
That's a
I
polite
found
way of
like
putting it.
I found the worst place probably in that context to do this.
Right.
But they're doing really well. So if you want to check that out, that'd be great. But
So you put more plants out there this year then?
yeah. So I
So
put
have you
two in
been
this
doing
summer.
them? Have you been doing them every year out there, this swamp
No,
spot?
no, I
Okay.
just did it for basically like documentation's sake of like trying to make it happen because
Right.
I don't really need the weed. Obviously, like I have plants in the backyard, and it's like it's more for fun. Like I love hiking
Yeah.
anyways, so I'm out in the woods all the time. So it was like I had extra plants in the spring, and I just threw them out there. And I posted the first video, and it went like way more nuts than anything I had posted prior. And I was like, I guess I'm
Some
gonna
there
be
might be
going to
something
the
to
swamp.
this. Yeah. People
Yeah,
want to
so
see me in the swamp. The swamp is calling.
it
Yeah.
truly, it
Well, I
truly
guess
is.
maybe that makes sense because you said earlier in this show that you are pretty immune to mosquitoes. Because as soon as I heard swamp grow, I thought all I could picture is me being like all the
Oh
mosquitoes.
yeah. Oh yeah. Check
But
the
if
the
you're
comments
immune,
on the mosquitoes in the swamp grow videos is pretty good too. People
right?
are amazed at this. Somebody's like, "This really is the best mosquito documentary I've ever seen before." Like, yep, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah. It sounds. I'm
um,
sure it's bad.
yeah, it's not great. It's not great. Well, I was thinking of like the future, Margaret, and we should probably do this again. And I was thinking maybe we should do some actual like hands-on making some edibles. Like maybe we could like come in together,
Yeah,
and I'd like, even if we do it at home like this, but like I'll have my ingredients and you can help me walk through it.
yeah, yeah. Do you do
What's your
these like?
favorite?
Do
What's
you
there?
do
Go.
these every Friday? Like, is that sort of, or do you have
I'm
like a set
trying to
time?
get a set time. I've been
Yeah,
experimenting with different times. I'd love to know in this chat when people would like to do this because I don't really care particularly. But I signed on last Friday at like midnight,
right.
and people were loving it. I think this audience is up pretty late, so
Well, if
but
you
I am
have
going to
people
try
from
to.
Finland, they're going to be,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
be a
that's right.
different time zone for them. That's why it gets really interesting with time zones and stuff too.
Yeah. So you
Yeah,
kind of have to give up a little bit, but most of the people are in like North America. So,
yeah,
yeah, so I'm going to try to do them every Friday and maybe Saturdays sometimes. And I have somebody for next week, but like, maybe once every couple of months, you should come back if you don't
yeah,
mind.
yeah, yeah,
We can
yeah.
do more of this because I think it's been
Have
fun.
your people contact my people and we can figure something out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because honestly,
Absolutely.
sometimes, like you said, talking to somebody who's also in the same province is kind of cool because I talk
Absolutely.
to so many people in the cannabis space and a lot of them don't live anywhere close to me. It's kind of
No,
crazy.
no, exactly. And I
Yeah.
do want to do more like, like I was looking up online and there's like a really great permaculture farm near Hamilton. So I want to
Right.
start doing like kind of field trips. But like
Okay.
maybe we could go do some of those things. Like you could come, I could come, we could just talk because
Yeah.
it's like we're all within the community. But um, I'm thinking about being a little bit more like intentional about these interviews. This was kind of a little
Right.
bit of like figuring it out together here. But
Have
yeah,
you done a lot of interviews yet?
this is the first one.
Oh, is it?
I
Oh,
had
well,
people jump on.
congratulations.
If
Yeah.
anybody wants to jump on, we'll probably hang out. You're good for another 10 minutes or so?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If anybody wants to come on, Miko, you want to hop up here from Finland, man? We'd love to chat with you.
It's
I'd love to know what's
4:50 a.m. for him. I gotta say congratulations. That's earlier than I'd be up. I mean, I get
anybody
up pretty
wants to pop
early.
up. I'd love to chat with people. We'd love to try out the technology here too. I've never done more than a person on the thing. So let's see what else is going on. Fantastic on the swamp growth. Thanks, guys. The ratio of bunches of city/town is in the favor of females. As far as cultivator go, I know more males that grow. Oh, there you go. Maybe it's, I don't know what that is. It's very interesting.
Mhm.
Um, Old school Moroccan connections. Yeah.
That's probably
The
in
bees.
reference to Mila.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
I was thinking about the
yeah,
bees for some reason. um,
yeah. Bees on the brain. That's why.
I know. Hey, what's your favorite recipe though? If like you were, because you have a bunch of recipes, you share things with people. Is there one that like you could direct people to, or a video that would be like pumping for them?
I honestly, it's funny you say that. I don't do a lot of videos because I don't
Well, I'm
know.
in podcast things or
Yeah.
what
I recently did a gummy recipe that I really love because it's easy.
was it, the red ones? I saw a video that was pretty recent, like from maybe last
Oh,
week.
yeah, I think I was talking in that video, I was just talking like the gummy worms, I was talking about like how cheap it is to make your own.
Yeah,
Because like
yeah.
the recipe that I've been doing lately, depending on the molds, I can get like 80 gummies out of them,
Mm,
depending on the size of the mold. So, to buy 80 gummies in a dispensary in my town, I mean, I'm looking at anywhere from 60, $70 up to 140 depending on the cost of those
yeah,
edibles, right? So, like, when you're making your own, it's just so much more cost effective, and then you have a jar of gummy worms in your fridge or whatever that you can just reach for whenever you want. So, and, like, this gummy you don't have to be a good cook to, like, make them. If you can, like, boil some stuff on the stove, then you
yeah.
can make them. Yeah.
Do you make your own Rick Simpson oil, Margaret? Ramul is asking you.
I don't typically. I mean, I know how to do it, but I haven't typically. Because that's like basically when you're sort of taking that infused alcohol and then boiling all the alcohol out of it, and you end up with
Mm,
the highly concentrated cannabis extract from it. Um, yeah, to be honest, it's more because I'm a bit of a lightweight, but I've also been gifted a lot of Rick Simpson oil, and it goes like a little bit goes a long way. So I don't necessarily need to make my own because I have some.
that's always
I
nice.
mean,
That's
poor
always nice.
me that people have been giving me like syringes full of Fico.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah.
pretty nice. Yeah, if
Yeah.
you guys have any more questions for Margaret or for me, drop them in the chat. We got another like 7-ish minutes. I'm gonna give it here, and then we'll wrap it up.
Also,
um,
I am doing like if anybody has questions that they think of later that they want to ask, I am doing a listener Q&A for my episode for my podcast coming up.
cool.
And they can always send me a question via whatever. Like just find me online if you
Cool.
have anything. Yeah. Yeah, making things
Um,
is fun. That's why it's like kitchen witches was somebody referred to it as kitchen witches and backyard alchemists recently. And I was just like, I really like that.
yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah.
The problem I have is I get carried away. Like I assign myself too many projects,
Oh
and
yeah.
then I literally am like running from one to the next. And I have to tell myself, no,
Right. Yeah.
I am
Here's like
not going to buy a
I'm at
beehive.
capacity for all my product projects right now.
But then I
Yeah.
just find a way to just slide in some stupid other project. Like,
Right. Like you just took on a whole beehive and
yeah,
now you're
it's just
building
like,
bat boxes.
I'm already like exactly. This is a problem
Yeah.
I have. So I have
Oh,
to
so
stop
if you're
myself.
getting the bird feeder too, you're gonna have to get Merlin. Do you have that yet?
What's Merlin?
It's Merlin is the Merlin Bird ID app.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, I actually do have it. I do have it. Isn't that the one where you
Yes.
you can hear they talk and then it converts it
Yeah,
to
yeah.
yeah.
Like, and it's really great too because it's the app is made by a US university that's like an ornithology program or something like that. But um, it's great. You do
Yeah.
become a little obsessed with it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do
No,
anyway,
we
but
we were playing with it when we went traveling recently. So
yeah.
they're very clever. Found you recently through your swamp short videos. Made had me laughing straight away. Great, man. Never know how my jokes are going to land when you're talking to yourself in the woods. And
Yes. Yes, that's very true. That's why sometimes I also like having people on my show or going on other people's shows because otherwise I'm like talking to myself and you're like,
yeah.
is anybody out there?
Oh, it's so
So
strange. I feel like I've gotten slightly more comfortable with it, but
yeah.
it was bad because I actually when I did the first swamp grow, I literally made all sorts of videos. I was going to put them on YouTube, but it was still legal at the time. So I had all these videos, but I never used them, and that really made me feel like a crazy person because I was
Oh,
just like,
really? Because you recorded
I
them and
just
didn't
I was
release
like just
them?
for
Yeah.
myself. I was like, what the hell? But it feels a lot better when people are like, yeah, you're great. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, I am.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I already knew that, but the validation's nice.
Exactly.
It is kind of weird. I don't know about you, but I just feel like with like my generation, I suppose, you're either like really big on putting yourself out there for the public to consume or you're not. And I wouldn't
Mm,
say I am, which is maybe why I was attracted to podcasting in the first place. But
yeah,
yeah. I mean, I do
it's
like to listen to stuff. I would consider myself an audiophile, so that makes sense. But I've been meaning to ask you, like, did you ever work in radio?
no, I didn't work in radio.
Because you have like a voice, you have like the voice. You got a good
Perfect.
like a good radio voice. So
That's amazing. Well, no,
yeah.
my job is like basically selling charities to people. So
Oh
I
really?
do like I manage teams that do the face-to-face fundraising that go door to door. So I do a
Right.
lot of like public speaking, I guess, to like strangers, and I train people on how to do it. So I think kind of like just over time I've become more like aware of that, like how I'm presenting myself because I'm
Hmm.
constantly doing it. But I've
Right.
never thought about a radio voice. That's very flattering though. Thank you very much. Maybe I'll take that advantage of that somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I
Yeah. I don't
am.
know what
That's
you're
what I'm
gonna do
trying to
with
do.
that, but yeah.
So everybody in the chat though, thank you so much. Have I ever found a mutant worm? Never found a mutant worm. The worst thing I find is worms that try to escape, and then I find them in interesting places,
Oh really?
hide, hiding behind bins, and the little bit of moisture they find it, and they just all congregate there. But
Right.
typically, I have a no worm left behind policy, so I try not to let any worms go.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you guys all for coming in. I think we're gonna kind of shut her down, even though it's still kind of cooking. I'm just sort of tired.
Yeah.
We've been
Yeah.
going and it's Friday. So, but Margaret, thank you so much for coming on. Everybody that is watching this now or watching it later, I will be posting it. And Margaret, I'm sorry I can't share it with you, but hopefully we can do one in the future when I have the new platform and we'll be able to
Right.
do a collab.
Yeah.
Be happy to do like a co-host thing with you again. That was fun. Um, but anybody in the chat who's watching this now or later, like jump over to Margaret's page and subscribe or follow the podcast. That'd be awesome. So yeah, thank you so much, Margaret. Really nice
Yeah.
connecting with you today.
Yeah. It
And
was awesome. Yeah. A happen chance. It was very like happenstance the way we met. So yeah,
yes, the
this is
stars
kind of great.
aligned perfectly, and
Yeah.
Ontario is uniting. And next week, everybody, we're going to be interviewing Moonbeam Charles, who's a breeder out of BC, who just does it like for personal use. But he's going to show us like all of his techniques. He said he's got a lot of really cool, tricky techniques to make things happen. I'm going to start doing my own seeds, talking about projects, Margaret, that I take on that I can't possibly commit to.
Right.
So we're going to start doing that in the grow tent, maybe, or maybe on the outdoor plants, one or two of the branches with silver colloidal, hopefully. So he's going to walk me through that. And people, if you got questions, you can jump in, and you can even come up live if you're working on it yourself and ask him directly. So too bad nobody else decided to jump up today, but that's all good. We had a great conversation, Margaret.
Yeah. This
Um,
was awesome.
Thank you so much again. And yeah, I hope you have a great night, everybody. Thanks so much. And Remwell's like, no. Are you going to breed seeds? Yes, I'm breeding seeds, Remwell. Don't you worry, buddy.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's coming. I'm gonna get taught how to do it, man. And we're gonna make it happen. So again, Margaret, thank you so much. Have a great evening, everybody. Thanks for showing up. Uh, peace out, YouTube.